Yeah, let's get started here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start off the week 6 discussion with the elephant in the room here. Quarterback play has been atrocious to start the season, and it's
real bad.
So
and
it's almost like we should have left that rule in that made quarterbacks better. It's really weird, huh?
Yeah.
So
honestly, think about how much worse offensive scoring would be without those quarterback.
Right. So I went through and I did a tier list, and I broke it down into 3 tiers. You got your trustworthy, you got your mid teams, and then you got your fuck that teams. The teams that is just like, you might have options on this team, but it's like, no, you don't feel super great about it, right?
Can we just?
And this is
Patriots tier?
And this isn't an overall. This isn't like the team ranking based on their offense plus their defense or anything. This is QB play as it pertains to fantasy and how it affects the team as a whole. So this was my breakdown, and I wanted to, before we get into the matchups, I wanted to have a quick conversation with you guys about this premise, because I thought it was hilarious, because this week was historically bad for quarterback play. So I'm going to break it down real quick and kind of explain why I put the teams in these tiers. So the AFC East, you got the Buffalo Bills, you got Josh Allen. We can trust him. He's fine. Miami Dolphins, you got Tua. And that's the best offense in football since probably the Tom Brady, Randy Moss days.
It's not the best quarterback, though.
The quarterback play as it pertains to football. Like this,
in terms of scoring.
In terms of just the fantasy output from the options on this team. It's like you can trust Dolphins.
Yeah.
So
you can trust Dolphins.
Why isn't Patrick Mahomes in there?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Division by division.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So New England Patriots.
AFC East.
New England Patriots. Mac Jones. They're horrific. It's one of the worst offenses in football. New York Jets.
Trust any Patriot player.
Yeah, we don't trust any Patriots. New York Jets. They had Aaron Rodgers. Things were looking up, and then he got injured in the first drive, and then Zach Wilson came in. Zach Wilson is a fantasy nightmare. Okay, moving on to the.
Honestly, been playing all that bad, but still a fantasy nightmare.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. If you have a Jet, you feel really iffy about any of those players that you're putting in there every week.
This list is for fantasy. This is not.
Yeah, this is specific to fantasy. This is not real football ranking at all.
Specifically for
fantasy.
And
I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna justify these as I go through.
There are some exceptions on the Jets.
No, let me get to Kansas City.
I'm gonna destroy you on Kansas City.
Let's let him get there.
Because the fact that you are putting Tua at trustworthy and Patrick, because we're talking about quarterbacks here, we're not talking about offenses. You said that in the beginning. Is retarded. It is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's quarterback play as it pertains to the fantasy output of the team.
Tua has not done that good.
But you have to.
He's in the mid as fuck category.
I'm taking into consideration the offensive scheme and the system and the options that you have for fantasy football.
Because you like Tua and he's on your team.
No. Think about it.
Hold on. Because Tua's play, regardless of how good or bad it is in terms of its explicit fantasy numbers, is enabling Tyreek Hill.
Correct.
But you don't know if Tua's going to get 30 points or 13 points.
No. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that the Dolphins are a good team to have fantasy players on for your offense because Tua's a passable quarterback. Not great. Acceptable enough, but then there's fantastic skill players around him.
Exactly.
So the offense is pretty good.
So we are talking about the offense then. Because in the beginning we're saying we're not talking about the offenses. We're talking about
but this is in the context. This is in the context of the quarterback position and how it's influencing the rest of the players on the team.
It's a little.
Just open it up to these are good. These are QBs on good offenses that have reliable fantasy production.
Right. So exactly.
That's what we're talking
Tua
about.
is a mid QB.
So it is about the offense as a whole.
It's about the offense as a whole. Tua is a mid QB on a good offense.
Yes.
That makes him a so-so fantasy option. Yes. But the offense as a whole is worthwhile checking out for fantasy reasons.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. Does that make sense?
I mean, that put that category.
It's a little complicated.
Still
up,
mid.
like,
Okay, well, I want to explain. Like, okay, obviously you disagree on the Kansas City thing, but I'm gonna explain that when we get to them.
There's one receiver. The fact that you have a quarterback up there that has 3 great running backs that are gonna take away points from him, in a fantasy perspective, Tua is mid.
But I don't think we're not talking about necessarily quarterback points in a vacuum.
Yeah.
We're talking about quarterback play in the real NFL
and how that enables
and how that's the fantasy situation of each team as a whole.
Yeah.
Mid.
Yeah. So
Tua's mid. Great skill players.
AFC North. AFC North. We're moving forward.
Targets. Do this by your tier list. Let's just go by the tier list right here. So
going by conferences.
I have it all. I have this all listed. Like all my notes are listed out by conference.
Well, good luck. Scroll a lot. Let's go by the fucking tier list because that's what's on the fucking screen. Let's go.
Okay, Josh Allen. Obviously, you can trust him.
Yeah,
Miami
Stephon
Dolphins
Diggs is great.
Yeah.
Well, look, Josh Allen is Brett Favre 2.0. He's going to deliver the ball a lot of times.
This is not moving forward, Steve.
I'm not moving. You wanted to talk about this. We're going to talk about this.
Yeah. That's fine. Say what you're going to say.
That's all I wanted to say is that Josh Allen is going to deliver the ball a large number of times. He's going to be good for his wide receivers, but not necessarily so good for himself. Again, a mid fantasy option, but the high volume has the potential to make him swing an entire game and be super elite with a lot of first downs, a lot of yardage, a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to throw the ball a lot of times. He's always looking for the big play.
Hurt currently and has
he's also hurt
injury, which
and
makes
fucking
him less
viable.
viable.
Yeah, I mean,
this is
assuming that that's not going to be an issue moving forward. It might very well be. But
because Josh Allen's play can be trusted to a degree, you can trust Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
You can trust Gabe Davis. You can consider Dawson Knox. Is that right?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
That is a Dawson.
And Dalton Kincaid is the other tight end.
Yeah.
The rookie.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are relatively good fantasy skill plays.
The Texans. CJ Stroud is emerging. CJ Stroud is emerging as a really good looking quarterback. He's had a really good start to his career. He's finally threw his first interception through 6 weeks, which was returned back to his team on the same play, which is hilarious.
Amazing.
But statistically, he's looked great. He's had 11 sacks and 1 interception through 6 games. He's had 9 touchdowns and over 1,500 passing yards. Very much passes the eye test, especially with a makeshift offensive line. I think you can trust the weapons in this offense. It's like, it looks weird, yes, but like Nico Collins looks good. Tank Dell looks good. Dameon Pierce will look better if their offensive line can progress, but like CJ Stroud is elevating the team around him, which is my justification for that.
Yeah, I agree with the
absolutely agree with that take.
Texans being a trustworthy.
Yeah. So Justin Herbert. So he got the LA Chargers. He's a stud. We can trust him. Like, all the receiving options on that team, you feel pretty good about it. There's some question marks with the rookie, QJ, but like,
Demario Davis might be a decent waiver wire pickup in certain circumstances. The other rookie there, he seems to outperform him in
the Chargers' offense.
For sure.
In terms of fantasy, is deep as hell because you can go to their backup options when the top guys go down and just plug them back into your roster. No problem. You don't have to worry about it,
Yeah, I had to buy Josh Palmer off of Josh.
Yeah, and that was a good buy because he's immediately productive now. I mean, this week he went off. So
he went off this week.
Yeah. Okay. So
Justin Herbert, be the reason you win, on long period of times over multiple seasons.
Yeah.
You can trust him.
Yeah. Yep. Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins is consistent. He's a great pocket passer. And
great fumbler.
He's one of the best in the game. Yeah, yes, he is fumbling, but he's productive from a fantasy value standpoint because he throws the ball so much. He's high volume.
Yep.
Okay. As much as I love Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, currently they're both mid as fuck. In my opinion, that offense is not trustworthy at the moment. Justin Jefferson is hurt. Kirk fumbles every week, at least one time. And
somebody else does too.
Every week I have to question myself and say, do I want to put Matt Stafford in? Because at least he's going to get a solid 20 points.
Yeah, like, but
here's the thing.
I think
the Vikings were dangerous.
The Vikings right now.
The Vikings were a dangerous team when they had a run game. They have no run game right now. They're a one-dimensional offense. It's easy to scheme against defensively. The pass rush is getting home more often because they don't have the threat of the run, and that's why Kirk is fumbling. And that's the defenses know what's coming with Justin Jefferson in particular.
Yeah, Myles Gaskin.
That's why they're struggling.
I mean, even with the fact that he's turning the ball over, they get scored on when they give the ball back over to the other team, which means he has to make up for it by throwing even more, which means lots of garbage time, lots of fantasy points, lots of catches, lots of volume for the receiving options. It's a requirement in order for them to catch up.
A great instance of bad team, good fantasy.
Exactly.
Option.
It's a bad team in real life, like low quality quarterback play in real life. But it ends up being productive for fantasy.
12 points is not a good fantasy week. And he's had two.
Again, this was a historically bad week for quarterbacks. I mean, like.
Yeah, this isn't just this week in a vacuum. It's the outlook on the season so far, based on what we've seen through 6 weeks.
Cousins can be swingy, but he can still put up a good 40 burger if you need him to.
Right.
I haven't seen that out of Kirk Cousins in his entire career, but
I mean, Kirk Cousins by himself.
I remember one particular 40 burger against the Green Bay Packers that really stung. So there was the one game at least.
The thing though is like Kirk Cousins by himself, that like it's been biting you in the ass because of the turnovers, but he is getting touchdowns. And if you have any of the other options on that team, you can feel pretty comfortable starting them every week because it's like he's going to throw the ball a lot. They're going to be playing from behind. You're probably going to get a touchdown or two minimum from that offense. So from a fantasy standpoint, you feel pretty good about starting KJ Osborne or Justin Jefferson, assuming he's not injured, and Jordan Addison. Like
even the backups. I mean,
and TJ Hawkinson. Like you feel good about all those options in fantasy. You got them in your lineup, and you're like, yeah, these guys, any of these guys could get 20 points this week. You feel good about, and that's the basis for this ranking. Is like how you feel about the players that are on these teams, and then putting that next to like superimposing it with the quarterback situation. That's all this is, right?
I mean, we're just talking about like who's like teams that will produce for fantasy that game scripts generally favor,
right?
Like, sustaining points.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
so then, like that's why the next one, Matt Stafford with the Rams, is a good example of that. Is like they're a good offense and a good team simultaneously. I mean, Matt Stafford's been lights out this season in Sean McVay's system, and his ability to read NFL defenses is still elite. And there's a reason he's a recent Super Bowl winning quarterback. Like you can trust the guys in that offense.
He's smart.
He's
as
literally
hell.
Mr. Consistent this year.
Yeah, he's basically what Kirk Cousins has been.
Smart as hell. He is consistent. He has been that his entire career. Like he makes crazy throws too. Like Matt Stafford's a great quarterback. Don't get it twisted. Trust him and trust his offense.
Right. So, and then the last one, Brock Purdy with the 49ers. He's the ultimate system quarterback, and San Francisco is one of the best teams in football, and Shanahan is one of the best coaches in football.
And he'll get 200
the 49ers
to 250 yards
and the Dolphins
and get 2 touchdowns for the game, and he'll get it every week for the most part.
Yeah, and if you have the Shanahan running back, if you can figure out which one that is, if it's not CMC, then it's money.
Yeah.
So trustworthy fantasy offense.
And I feel like the Dolphins and the Niners are here in complete parallel, right? They're exactly the same situation. Yeah. You have a ultimately kind of mid quarterback in a system that favors them with great offensive skill players surrounding them. And that's a recipe for fantasy success.
Yeah. So mid, in my opinion, Baltimore Ravens, you got Lamar Jackson. He's inconsistent. Half of his games are good. Half of them are bad. him as a player in fantasy is only good because of his rushing floor, and if you don't get that, you're really disappointed. But he doesn't elevate the weapons around it. Well, I mean, when he's good, but when he's not, there's a lot of problems there, right? But he doesn't elevate anyone around him.
People in that offense.
Exactly.
Only Mark Andrews gets targets there. The whole offense is fucked.
Like,
you can't trust the running backs.
That's not really true
the
anymore.
Wide receivers.
Zay Flowers gets the volume. Zay Flowers does get volume.
Zay Flowers was
Zay
great.
Flowers
is great, but he's
a rookie.
He's a rookie. He got absolutely annihilated in the game the other day.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a rookie, but he gets volume, which is different from other years. Open. But it's like, I mean, it's still like, to the same point, it's mid because it's inconsistency within the offense. I mean, even Mark Andrews this year has been inconsistent. Like, it's
well, I mean, that's my argument for calling this team mid in terms of fantasy is because Lamar Jackson doesn't elevate guys like Mark Andrews into an elite fantasy option. Like Rashad Bateman, worthless. He's worthless.
I love it.
He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. Just like the other pass catching options on this team. It's like if you don't have Mark Andrews, if you play a Raven, it's a prayer, and you hope something goes their way. Otherwise, you're screwed.
Did I tell you how I traded Rashad Bateman and like the 30th pick in the PsyOp League for Tank Dell and Marvin Mims?
That's a good move because Tank Dell is good, and he's part of these like currently elite fantasy offenses. So
I'm quite proud of that.
So then you have the Bengals, Joe Burrow. They're on the upswing. Joe Burrow has a nagging injury that's limiting their upside a lot. I feel like we can still
do that all season.
Yeah, but we can still trust the offense. But it's like you don't feel super great if you have T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is like you're white knuckling it.
Don't.
you're white knuckling it through all of the Jamar Chase games if you have him. But like if you have Joe Mixon,
Jamar though. Like, that's the difference.
Who else are you playing on the Bengals that you're excited about? Like, their tight end situation?
There's no one other than
the rookie
Jamar Chase that you're going to play on the Bengals.
Right. So
the rookie might do something.
Mid.
Yeah, I don't even like playing Joe Mixon. It's like...
Which is sad because he's been so good throughout his whole career. Yeah.
But I think this is like he's burnt. And he knows that there's like... He's at the point in his career where if the QB can't throw the ball and get some other yards, why would I kill my whole ass body for this team?
Right.
Because we're not going to win anyways.
Right.
And he's 28, and if he hopes to at least get one more contract, and he knows it's not going to be big because he's 28 and a running back.
Right. He's in that Dalvin Cook gap
Once
year,
he
basically.
gets another contract, he'll probably ball out. But until
he'll get bagitis in the other way.
It'll be like, okay, my career's about to end. I need to fucking do something.
Do something with my legacy. All right, the Colts. The next one on the list. Anthony Richardson's looked great to start the season, but he's looking at a season-ending surgery here, similar to what ended Cam Newton's career, which is really disappointing.
First game back.
Yeah. So if Richardson flames out early, the Colts are back to Gardner Minshew again, and that's another, like, close your eyes and hope for the best offense. Like, you got Michael Pittman Jr. and who? Like, which Colt are you excited for? Because, like, the Zach Moss JT situation is so confusing. But like, there's no pass, like Mo Alley Cox. Like, you're not playing him at your tight end.
Well, I think the Moss Taylor combo is actually going to be great because they're just going to run the ball over and over and over.
Yeah,
and run it
they might both be good.
Now they have two
dudes.
really good running backs that you can take over with. And Minshew, as much as I love the dude, he's not a great passing quarterback. But he can hand the fucking ball off. Just every other quarterback in the league.
I feel like he's got a pretty good play action game too. I mean,
if he wants to dump it over the middle to somebody,
he played in air raid, and if you can really, sneak a play action pass and get the linebackers to bite, like get some of that good Alex Van Pelt move that they've got in Cleveland, because they've got a fantastic play action game there.
I think the one thing for Dynasty specifically is that I would be excited for Josh Downs in the coming years. Like, they use him, he's good. Whoever's got him, I think, should hold on to him.
Yeah, but even if Kelsey has him, but like even if
Kelsey has him and Dell, and I'm so mad. She got all my wide receiver targets.
The thing is though, is like if Anthony Richardson can come back next year and be healthy, and we see the year 2 leap from Josh Downs, then I think this is a team that could transition into that trustworthy tier. But for now, it's like if you're playing a Colt, it's like, this is the best I got. You know, it's like I'm sure Trevor deals with that week in, week out with Michael Pittman. It's like I don't have a better option here.
You just never know.
Yeah, it's like
he could.
He'll get 11 targets.
Yeah,
but like, are they going to be 11 for 58 or 11 for 160 and 2? Like, you don't know if you're going to get that Gardner Minshew or that Gardner Minshew. Because that's the reality of the team now.
Problem all over again.
The Matt Ryan problem all over again, indeed.
Yeah, that's a really succinctly put.
Yeah.
So then the next one is the Jaguars. So T-Law has had a handful of good games and has developed well since his disastrous first year with Urban Meyer as his coach. But to start the 2023 season, every game has been a floor game. He's not throwing many touchdowns. So it's he's just basically been a fancy game manager with nice hair. Like,
he has great running backs.
Oh, he has his offensive weapons that are letting him down. Like, there's been a historic amount of catches in the end zone that have been dropped, and the high pointers that just the feet don't get down in bounds. But like, that translates to this offense has been inconsistent, and as a result, it's hard to trust them. So they're kind of mid.
The most consistent thing is him dumping it off to ETN behind the line of scrimmage, and they're running a screen very successfully.
Yeah, but like, if you don't have ETN, do you feel really good about any of the other Jags that you have on your team? Like, can you put the offensive?
No.
Exactly. So that's why I made them mid.
Ostensibly their number one wide receiver option.
Yeah, right? That's why I think they're mid, because it's like you got Christian Kirk. Like, if you have Christian Kirk, you feel the same way you feel about Calvin Ridley. Is like, I'm sure Josh every week when he's thinking about his start-sit decision for Christian Kirk, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to get from him this week. It's like, just like the Michael Pittman thing. It's like he could go off, or he could give me 3 catches and 30 yards, and I get screwed, right?
Yeah.
So then you have the Philadelphia Eagles, which seriously regressed this year.
And, well...
the running back situation.
Fantasy situation, they definitely
their offense has not been great.
So when you think about what the offense is doing and how Jalen Hurts is performing, you don't feel good unless you have AJ Brown, and even with AJ Brown, it's like, because like Devonta Smith has been rough.
AJ Brown since week 2 has been like, no, this is fine.
Yeah, but you have the top option. Great. If you have any of the other guys.
Oh, no,
you feel nervous because
why is that any different from Vegas then? Because
the top option on Vegas is Jacoby Myers and not Devontae Adams. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
totally
the problem.
fair.
We'll get to Vegas. But
still,
Jalen Hurts steals a ton of value from his running backs because they do this nearly automatic QB sneak play at the goal line. And they almost always utilize him for that situation. So you're immediately taking away touchdowns from the running back room, whoever that will be. Right now it's DeAndre Swift. Could be Kenny Gainwell. Rashad Penny's on this team still. But like, if you have any of those guys, you don't feel super good. Like, maybe after week 2, when DeAndre Swift went crazy, you were like, hell yeah, let's go, because he got 30 touches. But then every week since then, it's been the same thing as last year, where Jalen Hurts is producing for himself by getting the QB sneak plays. And this is from a fantasy perspective, obviously. It helps the team a lot and helps them win games. But
wasn't week 2 against the Lions?
He's regressed this year in terms of his passing ability. He's not looked good as a passer.
Or in the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, the team,
terrible.
The offense as a whole, it's like, yeah, it's productive. It's still one of the best teams in the league, but like, for fantasy, mid.
Good. Turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems reasonable.
Man, it turns out that the Eagles have
That's
really
how the Eagles
defense.
started last year too. Well, I mean, they jumped out to 8-0 last year, so I guess it's not exactly how they started.
No, and they didn't play the fourth quarter. They just kind of walked around the field for the fourth.
So the next one is the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love is really rough to watch. But
Marcus, you want to let me take this one?
Well, hold on. I want to explain why I put them in mid, because
I can perfectly.
He gets a couple of touchdowns a week, right? And he looks great for a quarter, maybe a half. No, he does. He gets like 2 a week. But every Packer, if you have a Packer, you're tearing your hair out with the punts and the 3 and outs and just like the inefficiencies that randomly crop up here. But anyway, I'll let the Packer fan talk about this, but like,
I mean, honestly, you nailed it. You nailed it exactly with that. Like, Jordan Love is young. He's fucking up. He's not reading defenses appropriately. He hasn't had as many. He hasn't had a good chance to do it at the high level, and he's still learning. Honestly, he sucks at this point.
Can I say something? Green Bay should be in the fuck that category for the same reason the Patriots are in the fuck that category.
That's fair.
There's a bunch of who fucking knows options.
Yep.
Because who fucking knows in this committee who's going to get the ball this week?
That's a good point.
Not even
the other thing too about the difference between Green Bay and
gets
San Francisco is that Jordan Love's going to throw picks where consistently, so he should be in the fuck that category. Where Brock Purdy may or may not throw picks. Where that's why he's in the trustworthy, because one pick isn't that bad, but if you're going to throw multiple picks a game, that's really bad.
You're not fucking wrong.
Yeah. I mean that I'll cop to that. I mean that you convinced me. That totally makes sense.
The only thing that is honestly, I take the words out of my own fucking mouth. The running backs suck too.
Yeah, they're all
the running back situation is really perplexing.
The whole offense this year is bad.
Just mid. I mean, like, even the IDP options are just fucking. No, it's not mid.
They're bad.
It's not mid. It's straight bad.
So let's agree. Let's agree.
I can call it as I see it. I'm being generous to call it mid as a fan.
If the Colts are looking to transition to the trustworthy tier, then the Packers are transitioning to the fuck that tier. They're squarely in the middle of both.
No. They've entered fuck that.
All right, fine.
And I'm deeply invested.
I'll retcon this.
Look at Steve's team. He is the Green Bay Packers.
It's true. He's down bad.
Look at my points for. I have all the youth options. Yeah. I literally have all the youth options. Yeah. The only bright spot is Quay Walker in terms of fantasy.
He's good.
All right.
He's good.
Well, we'll get to that in the matchups and stuff. I don't want to blow our load too early here, but I want to get through this. So
we should hurry.
Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay, they've got Baker Mayfield. He's actually been really good this season.
Justify all the fuck that's.
I mean, we'll go through them.
Go quicker then.
Yeah, but we gotta go. So Baker, we've seen enough from him to know what his floor looks like. Another team where you hope your talented guys can elevate themselves to produce, but you're not surprised if Baker has a nightmare game, right? So it's like,
you gotta pray for Mike Evans.
Yeah, you pray for Mike Evans. You hope Chris Godwin gets his like.
Godwin's getting nothing. Mike Evans has things, but Godwin's getting nothing.
But it's another one of those teams where it's like you can't trust the tight end. The running backs are really questionable. Rashad White has looked.
No, they're bad. No, they're
what do you mean? Mike Evans is their tight end.
I mean, he basically does. He's playing that Travis Kelsey big body wide receiver role for them, and he's the he's got to get his, or else you're upset, and that's it. That's why this team is mid.
What's the kid's name? Tompkins. Devin Tompkins.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So anyway, let's just quickly burn through the fuck that category.
Hang on. Give the honorable mention to Josh Dobbs because he's making Arizona look much better than they really are.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk. Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, they are in the fuck that category though still, because even though Josh Dobbs has played above expectations this season, he's looked competent. That running back room is a mess to figure out with Connor out. The players there are fine, like in terms of the receiving options. But we expected this team to be hot garbage this season, and Josh Dobbs is still too much of a liability for the pass catchers to be in that trustworthy tier. But I think that justifies, like, they're squarely in the center here, and that's why I put them in the mid category.
Fair. I think that's fair.
But I think Josh Dobbs is making them look mid. As much as I hate the Cardinals, and I hate the Cardinals, they look decent this year, and it's all because of that kid.
It's an extremely Cardinals thing to do, to like have a nothing of a team just like a shell of a team seemingly, and then be actually mid.
Yeah.
See, the problem is that when you're playing Cardinals players, you're essentially playing baseball players, and it's just not fun.
Well, I mean, you got the steady, trusty Zach Ertz. Rondale Moore and Hollywood Brown are going to get targets. And Josh Dobbs is going to put up 20 points a week.
Do you feel great about it, starting those guys?
No.
Not great. Like, I have Marquise Brown, and it's like, I hope he gets a bunch of targets, and I hope he can do something with it. And this week was a perfect example where that plays out, but he still disappoints you.
And
this offense is mid.
This week.
Yeah. All right.
So the fuck that category. Obviously, we're not gonna wax lyrical here. We're gonna blow through this. So Mac Jones, except for the
Mac Jones fucking sucks.
Except for the Kansas City, we can talk about Kansas.
Never trust a Patriot.
Yep.
Zach Wilson sucks.
Yep.
Deshaun
Watson
gave up on the Browns. Fuck the Browns.
Also the Browns on the Browns thing. Their defense is so good they don't need an offense.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
Miles Garrett's awesome.
The Steelers, Kenny Pickett, huge question marks. Matt Canada's system is awful. I think he's going to get fired soon.
He's going to get fired in mid-season. He's going to have like the shortest coordinator position.
But that's okay because their defense has TJ Watt, and that's all they need is TJ Watt.
They also have the defense thing. NFC North or AFC North is a fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah.
The Titans are Tannehill.
Tannehill sucks.
That's the worst. That's the worst two quarterbacks you can have on your team right now.
Tyjae Spears is fine, but like not the same. They've got a weird committee thing now.
They had to trade for a veteran wide receiver because their wide receiver room is essentially just Treylon Burks and a bunch of gadget guys that other offenses would use on their special teams unit.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Now
we're inconsistent.
I'm at the question of why would you put the Seahawks other than Geno Smith being
That's the reason.
But DK
wide
still puts up
15
points.
Good.
Either wide receiver DK and Lockett puts up good points. Kenneth Walker puts up good points. Bobby, like their entire offense.
Swap Seattle and Green Bay here.
Yeah, because that doesn't make any sense. Because if we're talking about the offensive fantasy points as a whole, everybody but Geno's doing great.
So here's the reason, and it's pretty much exactly why I struggled with putting him in mid, and fuck that. And I ended with fuck that for one reason alone. Geno Smith has had one good game through 6 weeks, and he has one touchdown a week. It's like
he is doing.
He's
bad.
not. If he produced at the Jordan Love level of touchdowns, then they would be squarely in the mid as fuck category. Maybe even going transcending into trustworthy. But he has one touchdown a week that you can rely. It's like if your guy doesn't get that touchdown, you can't feel great about it. It's like, yeah, Kenneth Walker is a different thing because of the way that Pete runs his offense. But like,
we're a hard-nosed running offense. So Geno's not going to get as many touchdowns because we are going to run the ball into the end zone.
But like, if you're not starting any of the tight ends because of the offensive scheme, like we have 3 tight ends, they spread all the targets around in. None of those are fantasy related. You don't feel good about starting a Noah Fant or Colby Part. Irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
So that leaves Tyler Lockett, JSN, and DK. And it's like if you don't have DK, you feel queasy about Tyler Lockett, and JSN has been a absolute nothing the entire season so far.
Yeah, he's not fantasy relevant.
And to your point, Trevor, like you said, he's going to be the heir apparent to Tyler Lockett when he eventually retires. So he's not going to be fantasy relevant for a minute. So if you have any Seahawk that isn't DK Metcalf or K9, you're not feeling good. You're not going to get a ceiling game from any of those guys.
Also projecting for the season, the offensive line is so banged up that's not going to change within the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, there's there's intangibles outside of just quarterback play that makes them really mid.
It's not going to change.
All right. Anyway,
we don't need to even belabor the Broncos.
We
don't need to say anything
everyone
about
knows.
Explain yourself.
They're so fucking bad. Don't even worry about it.
Explain yourself other than Kadarius Toney. Kansas City not being
the wide receivers do kind of suck.
No, Sky Moore is
fine,
irrelevant. No, all their wide receivers are irrelevant
for fantasy.
Yeah.
So Pat Mahomes,
the only one that is you could make the argument. But he doesn't get the volume, and he's not great.
One skill player on the entire, maybe 2.
Sky Moore is nothing. Sky Moore is nothing.
Isaiah Pacheco
is the only option. So you have
Pacheco
and Kelsey.
That's it.
It's the same deal with
the 2.
And Mahomes.
Same thing. But
and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Mahomes, even on a bad game, he puts up 25 points.
Yeah, it's Mahomes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But again, Mahomes hasn't been playing well this year, and their defense has seriously elevated.
You say he hasn't been playing well, but he's been scoring way more than Tua. So why the fuck is Tua untrustworthy and Pat Mahomes and
simply because Tua has good skill players.
So yeah, if I have Devon A-Chain or like any of the running backs in that system, or Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill, or even Mike Gesicki, or not Mike, he's not on the team anymore. But
let's talk.
That's my
Tyreek
point.
Hill. Let's talk Tyreek Hill specifically, because when the Kansas City Chiefs had Tyreek Hill, they were in the trustworthy section. If we did this exercise, 2 years ago.
Absolutely. They just don't have that guy anymore.
But they don't have that guy. They don't have that wide receiver.
They have Travis Kelsey.
They have Travis Kelsey.
So that's the thing, though. It's like
Kelsey.
As a pass catching option, because Pacheco isn't really involved in the passing game that much, right?
No, he's gotten more and more.
He's gotten a lot better at that.
Yeah, like 6 targets.
Yeah, but you have Jerick McKinnon and like this other soiree of running backs.
They both have the same amount of targets. Tyreek Hill, and Tua. Okay, that's it. Jalen Waddle can fuck off. Robbie Chosen can fuck off. Chase Claypool sucks. Cedric Wilson is non-existent. Okay, the only other option on Miami is Raheem Mostert and Achane.
I still feel good about starting Waddle. Like if I have Waddle, I feel good about that because of how efficient that offense is.
You don't know if you're gonna get 6 points or 12 points, and that's not very good.
But they're scoring a lot. Like that offense is generating lots of yards and lots of points.
And Achane is.
I mean, week to week, that's what is happening. Is like it's going to either Tyreek Hill or Raheem Mostert, but you can feel relatively good that Waddle's going to get his too. I don't feel that same way about any of the offensive options on the Chiefs if it's not Kelsey
or Pacheco. I feel fine starting Pacheco.
But it's like if you have Rashee Rice or Sky Moore or any of those other guys.
At this point, he's maybe the one dude who I would kind of start to feel okay about in a dynasty.
But you don't, though.
What about Rashee? But Rashee's doing the same thing as Jalen Waddle.
Or Downs.
Actually, Rashee Rice has scored more than Jalen Waddle.
If Rashee Rice can establish himself as an alpha in that system, absolutely, then I would elevate them much higher than they are. And I expect them to. I want to make that clear. I don't expect Pat Mahomes, a future Hall of Fame quarterback at 28, to continue to play as bad as he is. I think that Kansas City is going to get better and we can trust him later. It's just through 6 weeks, if I have a Kansas City Chief offensive weapon, I don't feel great about it. I'm expecting them to have a floor game every week because that defense is playing as a top 5 unit, and Mahomes doesn't need to throw 4 touchdowns a game anymore because that offense or their defense is so good. So it's like I just think it's fuck that.
We'll agree to disagree. I think that
that's
Kansas
fine.
Should be at least mid as fuck, and Miami should be mid as fuck as well because they are producing the same amount of shit.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, I want to hear about
Raiders.
I want to hear about the
Raiders. We already talked about the Raiders. No, we already talked about the Raiders.
New York.
Well, hold on. So Steve had an issue. Steve had an issue with the Raiders. So Garoppolo's been snake bitten by injury his entire career, right?
Yeah, he's out.
He's obviously just a second tier guy. He's a good game manager, but he has basically zero intangibles. And the team is going through an identity crisis. So it's hard to trust any offensive weapon on that team just because they don't score enough. And that defense is bad. So it's like
unless you have Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is the only thing. Again, the running back is okay.
Kobe Myers is their number 1.
Yeah.
He still gets the
number
ball.
1 wide receiver, absolutely.
Which is stupid.
But that's a WR2 level.
Cowboys.
Well, that's because Devontae is a decoy. Like you have to think about it
Yes.
Devontae is constantly double
gets
covered. He's double covered the whole fucking game.
Yep. So Myers is always open. And so does Aiden O'Connell. So like, he's too young.
Bad. He's just a glass.
I mean,
he's constantly hurt.
The best ability.
He's the modern Tony Romo.
So.
For sure.
That's amazing. He probably will go into TV too with his fucking.
I hope
face.
so.
Absolutely.
I hope so. That dude's like, you get him on the mic, he's a really personable dude. Like, he's super humble too. So I expect to see him on the desk when he retires.
That makes sense to me.
So the Cowboys,
that path.
The Cowboys
They're following the path of what he's the Orlovsky.
Yeah.
The washed quarterback to passable announcer pipeline.
So the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, he's pretty much the gatekeeper to the tier 1 quarterbacks. He's the final boss of the game manager quarterbacks, right? But that being said, this offense is loaded with talent and we should be able to trust them, but Mike McCarthy is hot trash. And I do not want any Cowboy on my team for fantasy. I do not feel good about Cowboys players.
When you're trying to throw it on yard,
unless it's CeeDee Lamb who gets the target, like most of the targets, in my opinion.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb isn't a bad pick, but like that's about it.
So that's kind of
Williams pretty good.
That's kind of the litmus test for this exercise, right? Is it's like if you don't have the top option and the best running back on any of these teams, how do you feel about any of the other guys that you have?
Yeah, but okay, so
and
really good question.
When it comes
Who's
to Cowboys,
the best running back on the Cowboys, because
Mike
Mike McCarthy doesn't know how to pick it.
I mean, Tony Pollard is a lot like Kenneth Walker in a sense to where he could get 15 to 20 points. He could get 6. It all depends on how the line feels that day and like what defense you're going up against.
Well, I think this gets back to the Mike McCarthy thing because like the play calling is atrocious.
Yep,
like
absolutely.
You can't be throwing 20-yard fades to Tony Pollard and thinking that's a good play.
Yeah, I mean that 60-yard scamper that Pollard had on Monday was due to a broken play. Like that wasn't schemed. That wasn't some mastermind galaxy brain Mike McCarthy Denny's menu fucking offensive play call. That was just Dak scrambling and then throwing the ball to his guy in space and him making something of it, which is why Tony Pollard is a good fantasy option. But it's like you don't feel like even as good as he was the end of last year, you don't feel great about Tony Pollard being your RB1 because that's where you drafted him to be.
I mean, Mike McCarthy has installed the late Green Bay Packers scheme. I recognized it immediately when I watched it the other night.
It's ass.
On primetime. And it is exactly what they had Aaron Rodgers doing in like 2018. You know?
All right, moving on. Enough Cowboys. I don't want to hear about the Cowboys anymore, man.
It's fucking bad.
So, like, New York Giants?
Giants bad.
Daniel Jones.
Bad.
Giants bad. Daniel Jones
Bijan's
broken
fine.
neck.
Well, hold on. Desmond Ridder, awful. You don't feel good about any, like, if you don't have Bijan Robinson, again, it's if you don't have Bijan Robinson, you feel horrible about any Falcon that you play.
Look, the Cubs are bad. The Bears.
Yeah, but Desmond Ridder is so bad that he's going to get 3 interceptions and maybe a touchdown, and it's probably going to be a rushing touchdown if he does get one. So it's like, maybe. I don't do you feel good about Drake London?
It's just
I don't.
And he would know because he's the one having to play him.
Panthers
and I mean
Thielen. It's just Thielen.
It's just Thielen. Saints.
Adam Thickles.
Olave. It's just Olave. If you don't have Olave, you can't really.
I'm gonna agree with you
Mike
here
Thomas
because
putting up numbers. Alvin Kamara's putting up numbers.
Rashid Shaheed is not doing bad. I want to see the Saints in mid.
So
maybe even elite because these are great skill players around an injured Derek Carr.
Hold up. Remember,
that's the only reason I think that they're mid.
This discussion is centered around who's under center, right? So I put the Saints in fuck that because Derek Carr is doing the same thing Geno is doing. And if I extend that same logic from the Seahawks to this team, it's the same. He's only getting like 1 touchdown a game. And if your guy doesn't get the touchdown, you're sad. It's like you better hope that Olave gets 87 yards and 6 catches on 11 targets or something because Derek Carr is trash. And if you don't get that, then
you better hope you have Alvin Kamara. Oh wait, I do.
Or you better hope you have Rashid Shaheed because half of their fucking touchdowns are fucking special teams.
That too. Like there's
Shaheed is like, you don't feel good about playing him.
Yeah, but
he gets 3 targets. He gets 3 targets a game.
Yeah. If you don't get that, you get nothing. But it's like, again, like Trevor said, if you don't have Kamara, who else on this team are you like, I'm going to get 40 from Olave this week? No, that's not happening. Because he's not throwing for 4. He's not getting 4 touchdowns. Like, that's not his ceiling is 1. So it's fuck that, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Washington is the exact same situation. Like, Sam Howell
Brian Robinson Jr.
Brian Robinson Jr. These Jahan Dotson.
You literally
Gibson.
have Love in the mid just because of the second touchdown.
Yeah. Because he's actually getting touchdowns. Like, yeah, he's turning the ball over.
But like the time of possession is
we agreed that the Packers were in fuck that. No, the
Packers need to be in fuck that.
We moved them down.
I think no, I'm serious because like the interceptions totally skew the time of possession against the Packers. And so the skill positions don't have a chance to get those points.
But because the Packers defense is a sieve, they just score immediately and they're back on the field right away. Which is the same. Which is my rationale.
Joe Barry sucks too.
Which is my rationale for why the Vikings are trustworthy fantasy offense. It's because they turn the ball over, short yardage situation. The other team immediately scores. Kirk Cousins has to throw 100 yards that drive, or else they're fucked. Yeah. You love it for fantasy because you're like, hell yeah, Kirk Cousins is gonna get 2 fumbles, an interception, 4 touchdowns, and 400 yards passing. Let's go.
Yep.
That's badass. You want that for fantasy. But anyway, I was really stoked to have this conversation because I knew there would be a lot of dissenting opinions, and there were. So
all right, we're just gonna put a real bow on it and say the Bears still suck. That's the one team we skipped. And we're good.
Oh no, we mentioned that. There's nothing to say about them.
Yeah, the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears and Denver both need to be relegated to Canadian football.
I agree, or the XFL.
Oh yeah, that'd be
relegate this whole fucking league.
Let's.
All right, Joe. Let's get started, dude.
All right.
This shit.
Another
right.
game.
Joe. Right.
I'll let you explain yourself first.
Okay, so Justin Herbert, yeah, obviously.
No problem.
Fucking Mush Allen turned into Mush Allen again, and the Buffalo Boofers. Like fucking, my God, that team.
You got AJ Brown, man. He was a man.
AJ Brown is AJ Brown.
I mean, he broke off a couple of like really good plays early in the game, and I was like, oh fuck, here we go.
But like the scripting of like the first 15 plays, like of every team is good, and like that's the thing about that's the floor play of AJ Brown is like that first drive is going to be Jalen Hurts throwing the ball to AJ Brown and it looking really good, and that's it.
Right.
Like if you're lucky, you'll get the touchdown out of it because like they're gonna tush push their way into the end zone.
Yeah, it goes back to that discussion about the Eagles where it's like Jalen Hurts isn't. I think he threw like 54 pass attempts this week, but like.
It wasn't great.
If you had Devonta Smith, it was scary because he had a bad game. But like AJ Brown was good, but like with 54 pass attempts and you have AJ Brown, it was
45 for 28.
45 for 20. Okay, so yeah, bad accuracy, a lot of volume. Like he's throwing the ball out there often.
3 interceptions.
There was a lot of interceptions, so the ball was turned over frequently. They ended up losing this game
the
too.
Game.
All those interceptions were in the last 5 minutes of the game, and it's because Jalen Hurts sucks.
They went away from running the ball and doing designed runs for Jalen Hurts because that's where he should be utilized.
That's where he thrives.
Yeah.
And that's where you can change the numbers with like it's dumb. Like the math stopped mathing because they didn't realize that
they got cute.
He can be a running back when they need it.
Yeah.
I said Pacheco.
Pacheco was good.
6 for 6 on his targets. Like he's the only back that catches passes in that offense anymore. Like McKinnon doesn't. You think he got maybe 2.
McKinnon blocks.
Yeah.
It's not great.
That's his role.
He's seated.
CEH is nothing.
Hot.
Yeah,
CEH is a third down weirdo option. Like he's not
Amari
even.
Cooper is Amari Cooper is still Amari Cooper. Like good game from him, though no touchdowns, so it wasn't great, but it was good.
Again, it was. I really think that the defense for the Browns is a big reason why it's holding back the offense because of how good the defense is. Like, there's a high probability that their defense is going to generate points. Like, they're likely to get a pick six, scoop and score, safety, those sorts of things, and just keep the other offense out on the field. So
the only reason you lost this week is because James Cook and Montez Sweat. Those are the two players on your roster that just didn't perform.
I think overall he had a mid IDP performance. Like none of his IDP guys had a big week.
Yeah,
you know,
except for Devon Witherspoon.
And you had 3
except for
did.
Spoon. Yeah, Spoon man did. But yeah, Sweat. Roquan Smith
Sweat got hurt, but like he was having a bad game anyway. He didn't put up a single point until like the third quarter. It wasn't great.
Yeah. He had a really rough game. He got injured too. Yeah, he sprained.
My
sprained
thumb.
His thumb.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's a little weird injury for a lineman.
Completely.
I don't know. Thumbs are weird. They'll keep you out for 2 weeks. Like Devin Lloyd is the mistake that I made, but he was kept out for 2 weeks for some weird reason with a thumb. I don't know. Teams are odd. And then like,
well, it's like
do they not
may
club
not be
up
that
anymore
relevant.
or something?
They definitely do.
I mean, they do, but like.
I would just say this.
I think they want the.
He's a fucking lineman. He should be clubbed up.
I think they want it to set properly for like medical reasons, and I think it's like an NFLPA thing. Like I think it's a union thing. That they.
It sucks for fantasy, man. Get him back out there.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
It's not about fantasy. It's about the team as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, you're letting down your team. Your thumb hurts. Get the fuck out there. You don't catch the ball.
Oh, I know, but I think it's like.
You don't touch the ball.
So
you
fucking
tackle
important.
Are they though, as a fucking defensive end?
It's the post football that they're thinking about.
Fuck them.
That's what the union is about.
They make millions of dollars to fuck their bodies over. That's what they get paid for, Steve.
Anyway,
yeah, but goddamn hands.
I just want to say this about about Woolen is he got cooked that game. Like,
he did.
Didn't seem that bad, but he got fucking cooked.
You could tell he was rusty. I mean, he's been been injured.
2 tackles.
So this was, I think he was back last game, right?
Yeah.
The pass defense was what's keeping you up here.
The thing is though, is like he was part of the reason why Jamar Chase didn't have a monster game against us.
He was still getting cooked.
He was getting cooked, but he was participating in the pass coverage aspect of the game, which doesn't show up in the stat sheet.
See, but the thing is it going to be a Reek Woolen week or it's going to be a Witherspoon week?
Right.
It's not going to be both of these guys are getting
looks. Yeah, because I mean,
when you split them 50-50 like that, you're going to get a 20-point game and a 10-point game out of each one of them, but you're not going to get 2 20-point games out of it.
Unless it's like the Giants game. Then which doesn't happen.
And I mean like the tackle numbers, it's 4 tackles versus 2 tackles. The difference is that Witherspoon has 3 PDs.
Yeah.
You know?
Like they're throwing at Witherspoon because they're thinking he's a rookie.
He's the rookie, right?
But
Witherspoon was also he was also bracketing Jamar Chase, and obviously Joe Burrow is going to target him. So a lot of volume, like Witherspoon was targeted a lot,
right?
So,
right,
he did a great job.
I mean,
I think the fantasy output here matches his performance because he locked Jamar Chase down. Yeah. Jamar Chase had a good game.
He had a good game,
stats wise and fantasy wise, but he didn't have the game he had last week, and a lot of that is due to the fact that Witherspoon was batting his passes away.
Yeah,
he couldn't do anything with them. You know, one of them hit him in the numbers in the back too, which I thought was funny. Like he just got up there and then just went bunk right in the numbers in his back, and he turned around like, what?
The difference between like touchdowns though and pass defenses is that the thing, like, you don't need to be like, the targeting is not the same in terms of how drives work. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, get more opportunities for the PDs, like just out of general necessity of football.
Yeah,
like it's just not the same as like a wide receiver 1 versus a wide receiver 2. It just does not work.
Totally. And the game script is so important here, and like the quarterback is gonna pick on one of these guys.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna find what they perceive is a weakness, and then they're gonna pick on it, and that guy is gonna get more of it. And it's so much based around preconceived notions and all of that. Like I call this the Jair Alexander effect. Because like Jair Alexander is a great player, but he doesn't get a ton of fantasy points because he just doesn't get targeted.
Yeah, because he's so good.
He's so good.
He
has a reputation. Richard Sherman was the same way back in the day.
All right,
he wouldn't get targeted.
We got to roll through mine here. So Tua had a really good game. Kenneth Walker had another really good game. Ironically, Drake London and Kyle Pitts were some of the best fantasy options this week, even though Desmond Ridder had probably his worst game as a pro. Chris Jones is somehow like 8 feet taller than everybody else on the football field, and every time he does anything, it's like, oh, watch out.
And can the Seahawks please trade for Danielle Hunter already and stop just like having clickbait made about it?
Yeah, Danielle Hunter literally ate Justin Fields alive. Like, I'm pretty sure
that was monstrous.
I'm pretty sure he's like the reason they struggled as much as they did in this game is because he was a force of nature.
Chicago's line is porous.
Why did Matt drop him to waivers again?
Because he didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
that's why.
I think he got beat by the projection boss, Trevor.
All you gotta do is see that he's 6'5", 263 pounds, and
dual designation lineman.
Yo, as somebody who's a Packers fan, have you not been watching the Vikings games?
No one's watching.
We play him twice a year.
I think we have a lot of fantasy players who are watching, in earnest, watching defensive players for the first time, and I think that's really what it boils down to. It's like I don't know who this guy is, and his projected points are really low, and he's old.
All you gotta do is look at his past. Even in his past, he's
he's a monster.
He's been a monster.
It was a clear mistake. It was a clear mistake.
We'll have to get Matt on the show and ask him.
This isn't explain yourself in the making. Like 5,
6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, there's 9 years of him doing this.
Yeah, he's a monster, and he's gonna get signed on a back contract with some team. Yeah.
He's been healthy like the whole time too. He's so.
Shut up, Steve. Hurt. Don't put that evil on me. Patrick Queen had a really good game, but other than that, like my defensive players just did more than yours, Joe, and that's pretty much what did it here.
You always stream the right fucking linebackers and D linemen. You always stream the right ones.
I targeted defense aggressively in the draft and on the waiver wire, and I'm happy with the squad I got, but like, you know, I'm sure some regression is coming my way eventually. I'm loaded at line, so like that's really making the difference week to week for me. Is like I have some of the best linemen in the league on my roster, so that helps.
Yeah, I would like to say the same thing, except for everybody I got, except for Montez, got bagitis.
Yeah, they got some bagitis.
Yeah, they got some bad bagitis.
Was I saw this funny ass clip of Quinnen Williams talking about it like. His pregame ritual, he's like, I don't know, I'm gonna play with myself and see how I feel, you know? I'm just like, what the hell? And then there's another. I saw this.
Did you see the thing about his grandma being there?
Oh, yeah, that was good too. How they both sons got a sack or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They both got a sack the last time, and they both got a turnover this time.
So they gotta
get their grandma back at the game more often.
It's true. So the other Quinnen Williams clip I thought was hilarious is he's in a presser and he sneezes and he blesses himself and then thanks himself. So he like sneezed and was like, "Oh, bless you, thank you."
That was good. Yeah.
I love this dude. Like, I was watching that. I was like, "This Quinnen Williams dude's a goober." I just found these gems. I was like, "That's so funny."
Yeah, one of the best 3-techs in the league.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, amazing.
Right. Let's move on to Kelsey and.
Yeah, Kelsey had a sad performance.
Kelsey had a bad time.
Kelsey had
Casey. Good job.
Good
job, buddy.
Casey had a really mid game because he had a lot of these guys that we talked about in
Justin
the fuck
Fields
that tier.
Yeah, I mean that's your fault for picking Justin Fields. Get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
You're lucky you got Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel, but the thing is Deebo's out.
So
injuries hit Casey pretty hard.
But hey, you got Brandon Ayuk, so at least you got
Desmond Ridder, I guess.
Yeah, I mean Casey will probably be looking for a quarterback in the offseason. It's probably going to be what's going to happen there. We'll see.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers on the waiver wire.
He's there. Someone dropped him.
I did.
Put him. Pick him up if you've got an IR slot.
Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill.
Aaron Rodgers again.
After his first touchdown. And like I say, whenever he does this, he goes fucking crazy. He was doing backflips. Yep. I saw that happen. I was like, oh, Kelsey's done.
He did a selfie backflip.
So, he ran up. He grabbed the camera from the guy that he coordinated it with and then did the backflip and then gave it back to him, which is badass.
And they got a 15-yard penalty for it.
Yeah, he did.
Amazing.
But it's
totally worth it.
It was worth it. Yeah.
Totally worth it. To have the video of circulating online of Tyreek Hill doing a backpack from like anti-first person is amazing.
So Tyreek Hill did get almost 30 points in this game, but he could have got a lot more had he not gone out of the game for, I think, a quarter with cramps. So, like, the only thing that can stop Tyreek Hill is hydration. It's like,
it's Tyreek Hill.
It's like Tyreek Hill is the only one who can guard Tyreek Hill. Let's be honest here. If that had not happened, he would have another one.
The night before.
Yeah.
He's one of the fastest humans on the planet. There's no one that can cover him.
He's crazy.
It's just disgusting. Tyreek Hill is just like, Casey, good call picking him. Like,
I think we all wanted him.
Jacobs had like a
of course. Yeah, Fred Warner, stud.
Fred Warner.
Josh Allen had a massive strip sack, and that generated a shit ton of points for Casey.
Yeah, that was good.
But other than those guys,
play in the game too.
Casey actually had a pretty crappy week. Like, Justin Fields was bad. Bijan Robinson got rittered. Debo got hurt. Justice Hill is running back for the Ravens, and he's not the RB1 because we all know who that really is. And then Isaiah
Simmons with a big egg.
His usage suddenly dropped to nothing again, and I think it's because Micah McFadden played. So I don't think Casey noticed that he's playing a second string guy who was filling in for injury. So like last week he did good, but then the guy who was playing in his stead came back, and then the guy who he played, his usage went down. So I think
the only way that works is like high-level D linemen and elite D line overall play.
Yeah.
What is this? 11 snaps?
That's nothing. Like
the whole game. That's
If that's Chris Jones, that's a sack, but he's not Chris Jones.
No, and I mean he's playing in the hybrid linebacker safety role, so you have to hope for a coverage there more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like a PD is what would get you some points here, and I mean.
Isaiah Simmons is also not terribly good.
Simmons' entire production has been in tackles.
Well, Casey's got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's his main backup there, and he's on bye. So
yeah.
I think Simmons is going to hit the wire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Well, Kelsey had, Jamar Chase, like we were saying earlier, he had a good game.
This is a floor game,
but it's a floor game for Jamar. Like 15 points, or is it 14? 14 and a half.
Yeah.
That's solid, but like
it's a floor.
You got wrecked by you're playing against Tyreek Hill. You want him to do that, you know? Because it's they got Tyreek Hill, I got Jamar. They'll cancel each other out. Tyreek Hill's doing backflips, and Jamar Chase got blanketed by a 5th overall pick rookie DB who was just cooking him.
Even before hindsight, Singletary is not going to cover Bijan. Sam J.P. Ryan's not going to cover Josh Jacobs.
No.
Devonta Smith might cover Debo Samuel. George Kittle should get way more than Evan Ingram, but didn't because he got one fucking touch.
What happened with that? So that San Francisco game was a hard watch.
Did you watch the game?
There's like 21 penalties, I believe.
Yeah, they kept throwing the flag at San Francisco and then just letting Cleveland walk down the field. It was the weirdest, most over officiated,
there were a lot of
field advantage, weirdest. That is, I swear, that is the weirdest game I've seen all year.
This was a weird week for that. I saw a lot of that.
I watched them. The refs let Cleveland play, but then the second that San Francisco's offense was on the field, they throw a flag. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's similar to that Giants game, but it went the other, the Giants game where San Francisco played the Giants, and it was just flag after flag after flag, and I complained that the game was unwatchable because of how many penalties. But it went the other way.
It looked like the WWF. It did. I thought I was watching a scripted ball game from the beginning.
Right?
It was the weirdest fucking thing I ever seen in my life.
It was super weird.
Wasn't it like episode 3 of this podcast where we complained about the refs for 20 minutes? Everything we said then. It's like
full-time refs.
It's the same. They lost to the refs. Well, plus
get it together.
So CMC and Debo went down, so that means that George Kittle's going to get covered.
And Brock Purdy then turned into a pumpkin as a result. Like, he was terrible.
Yeah. He's got nothing. Well, he's got no offensive.
Just want to say one thing about Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy has only ever won games when CMC has finished the game healthy. Just saying.
It served his first loss. I mean, let's also not even blow past the fact that they lost this because their kicker missed their kick.
They missed the kick,
by like this much. Like if the ball was here as opposed to here, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
They wouldn't even be in that position, though, if the refs didn't fuck them over multiple times.
Yeah, so absolutely. But they had every chance to win that game. They didn't.
That's the thing. Every time they start moving the ball, the ref would be like, "Nah, I think that was offensive holding. Oh, I think that was offensive. He pushed off." It's like, no,
they gotta rein him in, bro. It's so fucking annoying at this point.
This is getting ridiculous, though. I agree.
I will say what Scott just described is exactly what Steve just said. Just saying.
Yeah.
I literally watched the Cleveland Browns push a DB, and they called the DB for holding.
Wasn't this also the game, or no? There was a really bad late hit call in another game. I don't know if it was this one, but it's just like shit like that where it's like that's not PI or roughing the passer. That's not offensive pass interference. Like those sorts of calls where you watch it in real time and you're like, what? When they throw it and then they call it and it's like, are we watching a different game? Like, I don't understand what the refs are saying.
There were a ton of bad calls in the Giants game.
No, that was the Giants.
Again in the Monday night game.
Trash officiating.
Trash.
The Monday night and Sunday night games were both just like
all right.
So D-Hop, the London game, another really bad football game. D-Hop did nothing, but
London.
I think that the NFL thinks that the fans want to see kicking because there were, I think, 6 field goals for Justin Tucker in this game, and I don't know the final amount of field goals kicked, but I read that it was the second most field goals in history in this game.
Can we add kickers to the flex?
Never.
No.
Have you seen the kicker scoring in this league? It is bonkers. These two absolutely decided to have some fun. Like, if I knew that Scott wasn't
why not?
Sober, I would accuse you of all the hard drug use.
Why not?
Dude, that shit is so wild. Go look at Justin Tucker's fucking score. It's like 300. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like 300 sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Yeah, anyway, shout out to Trevor's favorite kicker in the league. Understandably so, but come on. Anyway, again, Kelsey's defense is not good. Bobby Wagner, again, nightmare game.
In the
Justin
past,
Simmons,
if we're talking 5 years ago, if we're talking 5 years ago,
like first round pick Bobby Wagner.
Kelsey, your picks are great, but it's not 5 years ago.
She did what you did with your offensive players, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it's true.
She also just
Smith had
she's
really
had some bad
shit
luck.
Game.
Yeah, the Trevor Lawrence thing has been a rough chuckle this year for sure.
Perrine had a chance to be Denver's RB1, but
no, he didn't.
So real quick on the Perrine,
that guy, but he gets injured.
No,
he's got nothing. So I mean, there's no running back on that team. Really,
you see the fumble, right?
Scat back.
Perine's fumble. Did you see what actually happened?
Right on it.
No,
he fumbled. So normally, when a fumble is forced, it gets punched out by a defensive player, right?
Yeah, right.
This is a forced fumble where he popped it against his chest and it came out when he was like 2 yards away from a defender in any direction.
Oh
he
my
turned,
God.
He turned and was like, and then it just came out. It's not like he dropped it. He popped it against his chest pad and it came out. So he forced his own fumble.
Yeah, see, I don't watch the Broncos games.
I want to say this about that play, is that Trent McDuffie hit him low. It caused him to double over, and his knee went into the ball and popped it out. And Trent McDuffie got the forced fumble.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's what happened. I'm glad they credited it that way.
That makes a lot more sense.
Because he fumbled it. McDuffie didn't force it. He caused it. Let's say it's kind of
like it was a very funny play.
He set the dominoes in action. That's all.
He did set it in motion.
It's kind of like the Reed Blankenship PD stat correction from last week, where the guy rolled over his arm and that defended the pass. So it's like that.
Yeah, it's like okay.
It's like you prevented the foot from going in bounds, so it's a pass defense. PD. And in this case, he basically like force pushed him and caused the ball to come out through sheer Jedi mind tricks. So I'll accept it. Fantasy approved.
All right.
I think we're good here. Let's go on to the next game. Yeah. I think it's Ben and Danny.
This was a really close game. Like,
I think this is the closest of the week, right?
Honestly, it's up there. The thing that killed Ben here is David Montgomery getting hurt.
Yeah.
If Monty hadn't gotten hurt, then this is probably a win for Ben. I mean, Devontae Adams fucked up. He's a decoy.
Danny's got to be the luckiest son of a bitch I ever seen.
Danny has got that rookie luck, man.
Quite good at this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he even had a Kyle Hamilton moves. Get kicked out of the game.
Yeah, he got ejected.
Danny has the lowest points against, and he's sitting number 2.
But he's also banging people out every week. Like this week was kind of.
Yeah, no, it's not like his points for are.
His points for aren't that high either.
But he's winning by a lot. Yeah, it feels like, except for this week.
It feels like it, but it's not. He's getting super fucking lucky.
I think
somehow
Danny is the Minnesota Vikings of yesteryear.
Every week he plays against the team that decides that they're just like not gonna play.
I love being that team.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Good time.
It's easy playoffs. I think you're right though. I mean, okay, so let's dissect Danny here. So he had Lamar Jackson who did something, but it wasn't a good game in real life football.
He took the Titan stack. Okay.
Yeah, he got 62 yards rushing and a bunch of first downs, so he got a bunch of production on the ground.
The Titans stack on a London game makes sense to me.
The thing is, though, is that
there's not going to be much passing
either. So.
He didn't have any other options.
That's
exactly.
Fair.
That's why he had to do that. He drafted really well with the running backs. I think Tyjae Spears is going to take over the Derrick Henry role. He won't be Derrick Henry, but he'll be the RB1 maybe for a year or maybe half a season. We'll see how that breaks down. We don't really know who Tyjae Spears is, but he's looked good, right?
I think Tyjae Spears is a good running back.
Yeah.
He's not Derrick Henry.
No one's Derrick Henry. I don't think we'll see a Derrick Henry for quite a while, right? But
20 years at least.
Tannehill left this game on crutches. So will we see the mayonnaise coffee man next week?
No. I mean, the way that
no.
Malik Willis was playing, that's a real question. Like, Malik Willis is
garbage.
Fire.
Oh, he was bad last year.
I really hope we get to see Will Levis play. That'd be so cool.
I mean, I think it'll happen.
Mayonnaise coffee, man. You think it's coming?
Cooper? Yeah, I mean, they can't keep playing Malik Willis if he plays like that. It's just like there's no coach that could survive that. They'll get fired. Like
no.
Malik Willis will fuck up, and Will Levis will get his shot.
Cooper Kupp is eternal. He's back. Like
he got hurt in the middle of the game, and he was like, "Nah, never mind. I'm not hurt anymore." And he came back.
I'm good. He had a Mani game.
As a Seahawks fan, it's so fucking frustrating watching Cooper Kupp because it's just like, how is he not covered? How is he not? Every time he catches, it's like, are you serious? It's not like he's a contested catch guy. He's just open every play. And Matt Stafford is incredible at reading defenses and timing his he's just locked in with Cooper Kupp. The guy who does the guy who's got the in-breaking route roll, whoever that is on Sean McVay's system, is just money for fantasy, man.
He's a local Washington boy from a D3 school.
Yeah, went to Eastern Washington.
That just became one of the best football players.
Oh, Cooper Kupp's the man. I love Cooper Kupp. I just hate this team.
I'm mad that he plays for the Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's our fault for missing him.
It's
like,
true.
It's our scouts should have found him.
You should have. I mean, he's right under your nose.
Literally.
I mean, this is the same thing.
I want him on the Packers. Shit. Good fucking player.
He was also not like.
Thank God.
It took him a couple years to kind of get into the system. Like you can go look at his stats when he was a rookie, and even the second year, it was like he was good, not great. Now he's like elite with the capital elite. But he didn't look like that.
His problem is staying healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those first 2 years he was not healthy. That was the big thing. I took him that second year in fantasy in a redraft, and that sucked.
Even last year, he was out half the year.
Well, he got the really nasty high ankle last year, I think.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. He has a hard time staying healthy. He's like one of those running backs that you pick up, like Saquon Barkley, because you think that he's going to be the best running back ever. And then 3 games in, he fucking rolls his ankle, and he's like, I can't play for 6 games. And then he comes back, and he rolls his ankle, and then, I can't play for 6 games. So it's one of those, like, super high output guys that you just hope doesn't break.
The Triple Crown season is gonna be the outlier season for him. Like that's not happening again.
Oh no. Wasn't the injury he had early in the season hamstring?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are nasty.
Yeah, and it's super easy to re-aggravate.
Yeah. So it's like
they linger.
So it's like, how many more games do you have with Cooper Kupp?
Hopefully Danny can hold on to him for the rest of the season because he is a key part of his playoffs plan because Danny's looking at that for sure. So
I mean, the hamstring injuries you got to be super careful with them.
But hey, depending on where Jerry Jeudy ends up, because he's gonna get traded.
He's gonna get traded. Yeah,
he might end up on a good team, and he might actually be able to make some points.
Future Packers WR1 Jerry Jeudy.
Dude, you don't need any more receivers, bro. It's not gonna help.
I know.
It's not gonna help.
That's not what the front office thinks.
It's not going to help you. No, he's probably going to go to the Colts.
Why are you on Jordan Whitehead?
So I wanted to point out this. Danny drafted this dude super, super late in the startup draft, and he's been lights out for him at this position. Like, this is really good production. Yeah, like, Whitehead has been a baller all season.
Well, if you look at his past, he's performed about the same. He's performed about the same way every year.
He's good,
He has his bad games, and he has his great games.
I think that was a really good pickup.
This year, it's an amazing pickup. It's just he's starting off really strong. I think that Jordan Whitehead's a veteran. He feels a lot of pressure on his shoulders because their quarterback went down, so he knows the defense has to pick up the slack, and so he's just going lights out until he can't.
A lot of the Jets' defense is doing exactly that. And Rayshon Jenkins
same with this dude.
This dude is killing it. He's been killing it for 5 years and counting. You know.
The biggest problem for the Jags is that he's for the last 5 years has been the only good DB until they got Tyson Campbell, and Tyson Campbell is still on that he may be a star and he may not be because of development track.
He has a conditioning issue.
So, the Steve Smith Sr. slam on Jerry Jeudy was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And
Steve Smith just got butthurt though about the blow off.
Yeah, but Steve Smith is elite at trash talk. So
that's
why he's on TV.
That shit was hilarious. He's also got a really good podcast. You should check it out on YouTube. Shout out to him.
So
yeah.
Well, let's cook. Let's cook. We gotta cook Ben.
Cook Ben.
Yeah. Okay. Well, real quick, I gotta give him credit where credit's due. Raheem Mostert has 11 touchdowns through 6 weeks. What the hell?
That's amazing.
Most guys don't get that much in a season.
Yeah.
We're not even halfway through this shit.
Yeah, and Nico Collins.
Nico
Collins is making points with minimal targets. But the targets that he does get, he takes advantage of and makes sure to get as many yards as he can.
He's getting fed some weeks though.
Nico Collins was the guy though that if you were able to grab every ranking from every fantasy whoever is everybody's person that would be I'd take him a round or two earlier.
Well, I mean, look at his physical profile. He's the prototypical wide receiver body, and that's what he was drafted to be 2 years ago. he's finally coming into that. And this used to be a thing with fantasy, is like the third year breakout for wide receivers. Now we're seeing it pushed back, and like we've been spoiled by like Justin Jefferson's class and things like that. But this is a classic wide receiver breakout year for Nico Collins, and I'm really excited to watch this kid, especially with CJ Stroud, who is legit.
This is also CJ Stroud, like
elevating this man,
like NFL quarterback.
Yeah. Zay Flowers is good. Sam Hubbard, Quincy Williams, production.
Devontae Adams, let's pray for our man.
Yeah, but yeah, David Montgomery got injured. Michael Gallup plays on a really questionable offense we talked about earlier. Aiden Hutchinson finally fell to earth, and Denzel Ward were the difference here. This was so close because both teams didn't have ceiling games, but the floors mattered here, and the floors were lower for Ben, and that's ultimately what cost him this week.
But you benched Josh Sweat. Like, why?
That is a questionable decision.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like you played Darren Payne over Josh Sweat? Are you okay? Do I need to check your temperature?
That's a good shout. That's a good shout.
What's going on?
I mean, you're no stranger to the start-sit decisions biting you in the ass, Trevor. I'm sure that one got him here.
See, now hang on. I have been cursed since I started fantasy.
That is true.
Since I started fantasy, if I bench a player, they go off.
Yeah,
regardless.
That's your MO.
that has happened my entire fantasy career. It makes me want to quit. It almost makes me want
my exact fantasy team.
This is why you can't. This is why you can't play DBs. Is because that's the whole DB thing.
Yeah, I didn't even pick good DBs. That's the thing. Like, I don't know.
We'll get to that, Trevor. I wanted to talk about your DBs. It's because they're down bad. But
I don't know DB.
Let's talk about Matt.
I know that they can't catch footballs, and that's why they're not wide receivers, and that's about it.
I love that shit. All right, Matt and Jordan. I wanted to start with the Amon-Ra St. Brown play from this week. That was insane.
Okay,
the Craig Reynolds here. I'll pull it up here. The Craig Reynolds block that basically awarded Amon-Ra
under pressure.
Touchdown.
Was protected.
Plays like this are why
I gotta restart it.
Oh man, this block was so good.
Under pressure.
This is why I want blocks.
St. Brown has it. Needs to get to the
14-yard
line.
Like bam, fucking nails it. Springs in and gone.
I posted immediately in our chat when that happened. I was like, did you guys see that block?
Like,
holy
hell yeah,
shit.
I saw that. So this is another angle that shows actually how deadly that hit was. Watch the bottom of the screen. Dude, man. I have to watch that again. Like, it's
such a good block. I'm surprised he didn't
laid out right there.
I'm surprised he didn't get called for a blindside and it get called back. If I'm being honest,
he's looking right up there.
He's not though. He's looking at Amon-Ra
side. Yeah,
and Reynolds comes out of nowhere and just fucking obliterates him.
Well, clearly the refs weren't looking because they're not looking anyway. So they just happened to miss this,
and
he got lucky as fuck.
It worked out because it made for really good football.
Just at DK, man, that's the whole thing. They were just all looking at DK.
I'm sure
in this stadium.
I'm sure that. True.
Yeah, well, DK is getting everybody. He keeps getting fussy.
He's in his head, man. He's getting upset.
Fussy. Well, it's because Geno sucks.
Yeah.
He's sitting. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Have you heard the comments that both Pete and
save it. We'll talk about it because we'll get to Trevor's game in a minute here, Joe.
I have heard it.
I don't know if you've heard it. Like,
save it for them because I haven't heard it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. I'll lead with it then, and then you can rage.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right. DeAndre Swift, he got 10 targets, man. That's a lot. Keenan Allen, still a stud. Dude's aged like fine wine. It's amazing. TJ Hawkinson, again, this is why I think that the Vikings offense is in that trustworthy tier. It's because it's one of the best tight ends for fantasy. Rashid Shaheed had a really cool play.
Fucking good game.
Yeah.
He's a player.
Alex.
Gabe Davis finally fell down to earth.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Gabe Davis fell down to earth.
Don't worry, he'll be back next week.
Yeah. So his defenses here made a big difference for Matt. Like, this is pretty much what pushed Jordan over, was the play from Alex Anelzone, Max Crosby, who almost got a safety, but it ended up not being a safety because it was an assisted sack. If it had been a solo sack, that would have been like off to the races. Not that it already wasn't, but CJ Mosley also had a really good game. But
yeah, well, Max Crosby had to make up for the massive fucking penalty he caused.
That's
prior,
true.
So
yeah, but he did.
Yeah, he did.
He pretty much sealed it right there. That shit was crazy. Duds though, Russell Wilson. Not to beat a dead horse here, but I think it was you, Steve, who pointed this out. Drew Lock has more wins as a Bronco than Russell Wilson does. The 8-19 loss in this game was not scoregami, which means a score that's never happened in the history of the game. But the last time a score like this did happen was in 1927, which is hilarious.
That's really good.
8-19, like what?
Man, a 96-year gap in between this score happening.
It is.
I'm glad you could curse the Broncos with watching like the worst version of like football, which we've had to deal with in the last 10 years.
I'm glad you brought that up, because let's just quickly recap the Sean Payton era. Okay, so they traded. The Broncos traded a first and a 2024 second and a third to get Sean Payton.
Traded a lot.
And then from the Saints, obviously, because they were still on, even though he wasn't coaching, he was still under contract, whatever. They signed a bunch of questionable free agents and then overpaid them. He throws Nathaniel Hackett and Russell and Wilson and their GM under the bus after he gets brought in. They did that really weird onside kick to start the year play, which failed. Which was hilarious.
Resulted in a touchdown.
They lost to the Raiders.
Yeah, immediately.
The Raiders. They lost Raiders. They lost to the Commanders after a crazy comeback. They threw his QB under the bus again, despite his defense choking the game away in that one. Has a team with the same player committing a dirty hit, injuring players in both games. He proceeds to get destroyed on the road in historical fashion versus the Dolphins, who broke or tied 13 team or individual records during the game, and Tua, who he publicly trashed last year, by the way.
Right.
Just about got their first win of the season by barely beating the worst team in the league by 3 points. Lost to the very coach he said was one of the worst in the history of the NFL, Nathaniel Hackett. And then lost to the Chiefs. The Broncos are now 1-5.
Good.
What's their one?
Fuck Sean Payton.
What's their one win? They beat
the Bears by 3 points.
Oh, the literal worst team in the NFL.
In this game?
Oh boy,
that we wanted to
touch. CMC got injured. That's the only other thing I wanted to say about this.
That's rough, buddy. I don't give a shit.
That's so brutal. Steve's so salty. Oh my
Thank God I don't have to play against CMC this week. Oh, I just realized
that's rough, buddy.
Oh my God! Thank the Lord Jesus. It's all right. I'm sure I'll fuck up picking my defense.
Yep. Matt's team. Jalen Waddle had a good game. Garrett Wilson had a good game. CeeDee Lamb had a interesting game. It was good, but like that offense is so hard to watch, man. Mike McCarthy is hot trash. Nick Bosa is still a wrecking ball. TJ Edwards and Cameron Curl were going crazy. Defenses were carrying your ass because your running back sucks. Sorry, Matt. Alexander Madison ain't it. Jonathan Taylor is still figuring stuff out and is splitting work with Zach Moss. Sam Laporta finally looked like an actual tight end. And even though he had a bunch of catches, still a good tight end game, but like you expect more from someone.
He had
like
a bunch
him
of targets. He had very few catches. He kept dropping the ball.
Oh, right.
Stone hands.
Yeah, you're right. He
had stone hands.
I think Goff was throwing some hospital balls in that game too. Like some of the targets I saw Laporta get.
The spirit of Jimmy Graham
were a little rough.
Sam Laporta that night.
And then the Ed Oliver donut that we were joking about, how he's on the field the entire game and did nothing.
How does that even happen?
That's what I'm saying, man.
How do you fly under the radar that far?
Like, Ed Oliver is...
Like, I understand taking a couple of snaps off your big boy. You know, want to catch your breath.
He's tired. I doubt it, though.
67 snaps and you don't get a single tackle?
He's in the game. He's in the game all the time.
Against the Giants?
He's a 3-tech, right?
He got 67 snaps and he didn't do shit with them.
I think
D-line sound real bad.
Maybe he was just tired from beating up on Jacksonville last week. I don't know.
He's been a big boy the entire season though. Like he's got a bunch of sacks. Like I think he took a game off.
He just took a game off.
But this is a weird game to take a game off because this game was fucking unwatchable.
No, the Buffalo.
It was super low scoring.
Are really banged up. Like they've got a couple people out like season long. Like Milano's done. Like they've got.
So how do you not step up?
They were still in it too. Like they won this game. Like his team ended up pulling it out in the end.
Fucking barely.
Barely, yeah. Which was like really surprising for the Bills offense, who just shellacked the Dolphins a couple weeks ago.
He got game scripted out. Like that was the reason I picked up like whatchamacallit, Leonard Floyd, is because it's like, well, they're just gonna double team Ed Oliver the entire game, and everybody else is gonna eat.
I mean, I guess that worked out for you because it fucked Matt super hard.
I mean, that's exactly it. It's like you got to pay attention to game script, offensive game script.
The only other thing that really screwed Matt over was Chase Young doing nothing. Like he also similar situation. He played all game and got one tackle. Like, how do you get one tackle and play 75 snaps, bro? I would be so frustrated.
We don't score pressures.
Yeah,
and that may be something we should consider. Well, they don't fucking let us.
I don't know. I don't know, man. That game was there.
They scored everything, man. Like,
there was a lot of unwatchable games this week. That was one of them.
It's rough.
They were all. It was a kick fest.
Yeah,
I hate kick fests.
Weekend. It was
I don't mind defensive slogs because that usually implies that there's some offense. Like they get down the field and then there's an interception or there's a crazy
bad offense.
Yeah, it's just like 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, punt, 3 and... At least it wasn't like that Colts Broncos primetime game last year. That was the worst game I've ever seen. If you've forgotten it, then I'm glad because like the Men in Black, like
I know.
It started.
I remember.
He's just getting flashbacks over there.
So we're gonna go
Packers
over
Bengals game was the same way. That thing went into overtime, and the only points scored were field goals.
No, you're next.
Oh no, you're next.
No, I'm up.
Yep.
I thought we were going against John and Josh, and then we can.
John and Josh are last.
I was gonna say do them next, then me and.
Oh, do you want to do it that order? Yeah, let's do that.
We'll ring it. We'll close it out. That makes sense.
All right, that sounds good. All right, John and Josh, the other sibling bowl, dude.
Josh, that was also another really close match.
Josh almost had this, man. He just he did not get enough boom because John, I think he was the highest scoring team.
Yeah.
Yep. If you played anybody else, you would have won.
Mm-hmm.
What
a sibling moment.
Because like, look at this here. Look at this. Let's scroll through. Who are Josh's duds here? Like, let's really think about it. Because there's one in my opinion. Zaven Collins. That's it. Everyone else they did what they needed to do here. Like he got at least a floor game from everybody.
And John Allen's kind of a dud, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, 6.5 is not great, but it's also not.
It's not
for a lineman in fantasy.
That's not good.
That's
for our scoring. That's not good.
I mean, that's not good for our scoring, but that's a floor.
All the
floor game.
For sure. Yeah.
It's not a bust. It's a floor. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. A bust is 1 point on one tackle. Yeah. That's a bust.
Yep.
That's a you know.
And Hufanga didn't do so hot either.
He doesn't meet his projection, but his projections are based on PDs.
Dude, he's had a rough season so far. Like
because
last year
got hype.
Look at his stats from last year. It's like tackling machine, but like this year, he's not.
Hufanga is gonna get at least a fumble recovery or a pick off of
Off of Kirk
this week.
So. Honestly, I feel like Hufanga's output being lower this year is due to some progression from their pass rush. It's like the other team just can't get the ball out. Like he's not needed as much as he was last year because Fred Warner is just like developing into a Hall of Fame caliber player. So it's like, and Nick Bosa is there. And wasn't he banged up a little bit? I think Nick Bosa was out for a bit last year too, which helped Hufanga's production. Even then though, Nick Bosa was a top player last year as well.
The other thing is
he was depoy.
I think the Niners had a better offense with Garoppolo, honestly. And
I don't know about that.
Purdy is. I mean, I just think the Garoppolo might have been a step above Purdy.
I disagree. Like, I'm a Purdy hater, but like I can see that he has mobility where Garoppolo doesn't. Like, he can actually roll out of the pocket. He'll step up and hit the deep shot. You know.
But given that their whole thing.
Yeah, but who has a Super Bowl?
Not Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
With the
as a Patriot.
He does have a.
Oh, as a Patriot, that's true.
Yeah,
he has 2 as a Patriot.
So
those are Mickey Mouse rings, Trevor. Come on.
Yeah, no, they are.
Nope, those are fucking rings, bro.
Whatever.
It counts.
Rings of fucking.
Did he ever step in while he was like? Did he actually start?
Yeah, he had 4 games with that.
He had 4 games.
Yeah.
I don't watch New England
for the Deflategate.
He was a part of that fucking season, man. All right, he 100% deserves that ring.
I will say this about Purdy. Like, the team, like Jimmy Garoppolo never had anybody as good carrying him as CMC is carrying Purdy. That's the only real difference.
And Debo.
Yeah, and Debo.
Debo
was there, but
Debo was there. No, Debo was
Garoppolo had Debo for sure.
Yeah, he was there, but Debo wasn't like
CMC.
Debo was hurt a lot for him.
Yeah.
He's always
always.
Yeah.
Debo had that one season though where he was basically a running back and a wide receiver though under Garoppolo
and a quarterback. He's like the Taysom Hill of San Francisco.
Facts.
You might as well start punting the ball.
Did you guys see this?
No, but Travis Etienne went the fuck off.
What the fuck,
dude?
Oh yeah, that's great.
The top comments too.
Dude, I love these Zoomer players that like play fantasy, they play video games, they're streaming on Twitch, they're doing the TikTok shit, they like anime. Like, I love it, dude. Like, our generation are becoming the veteran players in the league now, and it's so funny. To watch.
Yeah, oh no, I'm old.
Yeah, oh no, I'm old. The players know what fantasy football is. God damn it.
No. Here's what's the worst thing is like being like, oh shit, there's only like 6 players in the NFL older than us.
Yeah.
There's more than 6.
We're just experienced. Or at least we're retired, right? We're washed.
There's not that many over 30.
It's such a great game because the Jaguars like absolutely wrecked whoever the fuck they were playing in the first like 3 minutes of the game and what it felt like, and then like just he ran the ball down their throats and there was nothing they could do.
Yeah, I mean he did the thing that Kenneth Walker does. It's like big play, like run into a brick wall, 80-yard touchdown, run into a brick, like that's his game, and it's cool as fuck.
The only difference between Ken Walker and ETN is that the Jaguars can like run a screen pass and the Seahawks can't.
Yeah, because we replaced that with our tight end sets and stuff. Yeah. So
we've never been able to run screens.
Thank God.
Well, for obvious reasons.
We were terrible at the screen.
Yeah, don't run.
I hated watching those plays on third downs. Like, why?
Yeah, it's like
they never worked.
Just stop.
What's going on.
It's worse than the quarterback draw, dude. It's like, oh God,
that was so terrible.
We're doing this, you know?
Yeah.
But thankfully, Travis Etienne is elite and is super skilled. Despite being undersized, he's amazing.
He's really quick.
Jalen Hurts.
I think size is no longer an important thing in the NFL because A-Chain and every linebacker and all these young, like tiny ass wide receivers have like completely annihilated that idea.
Yeah.
Fuck Jalen Hurts. He's not a fourth quarter player.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts was really good, and then the fourth quarter happened, and he lost the game to the Jets.
Boo!
Which is terrible. That's shocking. So, like, there's no undefeated teams in the NFL anymore this season.
Thank God.
You are not an elite quarterback if you can't make a mistake and then get back out there and act as if nothing happened.
I don't know
you
why.
You have to be slightly delusional to be a quarterback in the NFL, because if you can't throw an interception and then just be like, that never happened.
That never happened, yeah. And that not affect you, like,
and then not affect you, you're not gonna be a quarterback in the league for very long. You're just not.
I mean, I don't understand.
I give him 3 more years and Jalen Hurts is out.
I don't understand why they committed so hard to throwing the ball here. It's not like they were down.
They were
a lot. You know, I mean, they're not down like 3 scores down. Like, they were down, but they weren't down. You know what I mean? Like, they threw it 45 times.
Like I said,
in a game that ended 14-20.
Their 2-minute drill doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They don't have
That's a good point.
They're missing Shane Steichen. Their new OC is just trash.
Their defense is struggling right now because they lost Jalen Carter, and they lost who was the other player that they lost?
Bradbury. Or is Bradbury back? Their corners have been in and out.
Darius Slay. They lost Darius Slay. They lost Jalen Carter, which is like 2 big dudes that are making plays a lot.
And Reed Blankenship got hurt too.
So their defense is kind of going to struggle a little bit, and the offense needs to make up for it, and they're not making up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, their offense this year has been pretty bad, and it's not like they've made major personnel changes on that side. It's like they lost their OC, and it's
their red zone conversions are fucking awful.
It's really bad.
Not as bad as the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about one of the best teams in the league here, right? Or with the Seahawks. The Eagles are one of the best teams.
Yeah, they're one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl.
Is that bad?
Like, they got to figure something out quick.
You got to change something. Yeah. You have to change it.
They have a lot of time, though. It's still early in the season. I think they'll figure it out. Yeah.
Not far from halfway.
God, like every player that he played has just like had a fucking game. Like Bobby Okereke, or Okereke as he named him this week, which is great. 11 tackles. Like ignore the pass defense and the forced fumble. Like 11 tackles is so many.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Like that's a lot. That's what a linebacker should be doing. But like as far as like defensive production, that's a fuck ton of tackles.
That's Bobby Wagner prime numbers.
Yeah. Okereke is good, man. Like he's part of the reason why the Giants are even like in games is because their defense is solid.
Yeah.
Well, their secondary sucks, but their line is good, and he's part of that inside linebacker package. So, yeah. Damian Pierce. I wanted to talk about Damian Pierce real quick. I think we briefly went over it when we were talking about C.J. Stroud earlier, but like, he's rough. He's rough, man. Like he was really good last year, but like that line is really falling apart. Like it's the same situation as the Seahawks. The offensive line is just in shambles, but like they're getting things to work because like the scheme is good, but it's just like they can't run. It's like the opposite effect of the Seahawks. Like the Seahawks can run without a line. The Texans are the other way around. They can't run, but they can pass because C.J. Stroud is elevating them. So anyway, good win, John. I think John might do it this year. I think he might actually finally make playoffs, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, you're going playoffs.
He made a comeback too. I think he was 0-3, and he's won 3 in a row.
I think Josh might squeak the 6th spot with as many points as he's scoring.
Yeah, that's true. This week definitely helped him in that department.
He might.
Shit.
Let's see, points for 962. Well, actually, Ben's gonna squeak you out because he has 1,000.
We'll see. There's a lot of football to play.
There's a lot of football. Yeah.
All right, Trevor, you played against a bye week this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say my bye week this week was awesome, bro.
Oh man,
I didn't even have to play. I could have left like half my players off the board, and I still would have won.
What happened here? Okay,
I played Steve.
You played Steve. I mean, Alvin Kamara went off. Godwin had a good game.
Josh Allen's game. He can't be Brett Favre 2.0. He's got to be Mush Allen.
Mush Allen, yeah.
I like the Favre 2.0. It's not terrible, but
not a bad shout. At first,
it would actually be Favre 3.0 if you get the numbers right, because Aaron Rodgers is on the Jets, making him Brett Favre 2.0.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
Let's talk about his good players.
Did fine.
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall went off.
Went off as usual. He should.
He played really good, but his score is artificially inflated by the 8-yard game-winning touchdown that the defense basically.
That's not inflated. That's a solid play. You can't take away players' best play of the game and
the game-winning score can't be a bad play.
I can see making that argument for a true garbage time Adam Thielen touchdown, but it counts. It's like
you
Casey
leave
says.
Thickums alone.
It's like Casey says.
Honestly,
it counts.
The Jets didn't deserve to win that game. Their defense carried them more than anything.
Adam Thielen is the only thing Carolina has. So he's going to get 20 points.
DeMarcado is down bad Cotto for sure. Yeah.
When you're competing with 5 running backs to try and figure out who's gonna get the ball,
that's tough.
It ain't good.
James Conner is actually a good running back.
Yeah.
But he's out, so who knows? Arizona's weird. T. Higgins is inexcusable.
Yeah, I mean, he's hurt. Nothing. He's playing with a flak jacket, and he gets a nerve block shot in his ribs. Like, his injury is a pain management thing, and cracked ribs suck. Yeah.
Bitch McHiggins, dude.
I mean, he's definitely bitch McHiggins this year. He's bad.
Yeah.
He's bad. Like, not even just bad for fantasy. He's bad real life.
He's just
right
bad.
Now, which is a shame because he's so fun to watch.
He's also in a contract here.
Did he actually tear his labrum or?
No, he's got cracked ribs.
Oh, okay.
He's like they put him in a flak jacket and gave him a shot and said, "Good, you're good to go." And then he was a decoy all game.
Here's some perk 30s. Get out there, boy.
I'm surprised he even had 4 targets in this game, to be honest. A hobbled Joe Burrow throwing to a guy with cracked ribs, high on painkillers with a flak jacket on.
That was some bad process by me by not putting in Tyler Boyd. I should have fucking done that.
Yeah.
Tutu didn't have to steal a touchdown this week because they were playing Arizona.
Yeah, he didn't have to.
Also,
steal
Cooper
one,
Kupp.
So he didn't get one. Cooper Kupp got him. He didn't steal one. He didn't get the thief. Check. Waller did fine. Floor game.
Yeah.
You don't have Jordan Addison.
Good touchdown game.
You don't have Jordan Addison.
Yeah, he rolled a 5, didn't get the thief check.
Didn't get the thief check.
You get the -1 yard though, so that's classic.
No, good job.
Yep.
Good job on your 1 carry.
But hey, you had Micah Parsons and
Micah Parsons and Foye went off.
Foye won this. But he didn't win it. But
he was everywhere.
This game, he made the difference. Like, he kept them in this game. Like, dude.
He was everywhere.
One of these 2 pass deflections, and then the 15 tackles, because that's what he does. He's a tackling machine. He was a tackling leader last year. In the entire league, he had the most tackles out of anybody by a mile. So, like, 15 tackles. Wheesh. I mean, he's the reason you drafted him super early. But, Petrie did nothing, which is really sad. Marcus Peters didn't do anything. Like,
he fucked up.
Let's call it what it is. Like, Packers were on bye.
Yeah,
and Chargers.
And Trevor just needed to play some players who wouldn't let him down, and he was fine. And that's what happened. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be here today.
Whoa, hey. I would have beat Casey. I would have beat Kelsey. I would have beat Ben. I would have beat fucking Danny. I would have beat Matt. Like, I literally would have beat. I would have beat.
You would have beat half the league easily.
I beat more than half the league. So it's not really like. But literally, I'll be honest with you. I did not put any time into this week. I spent all my time looking at Rent Crew Master League, Offenses for Suckers, Garrett's League. Shout out Garrett. I didn't. I knew the Packers were on bye. Like, it wasn't really like it wasn't really a decision for me to like.
Yeah.
Put
I fucked up. I should have played the Cisco, but.
What was the deal with DK? Like, you were saying something about that earlier, Joe. Let's talk about DK now, because he was bad in this game.
It's more of a general problem that's like a thing that happens to players that piss off the refs, and that they want. This is like the spotlight thing.
Right.
DK needs to be aware of when the whistle blows because he didn't hear it, and so he like tried to run like throw a block on this guy after the whistle because he like wasn't aware of it.
I saw that too.
And so like
I was like, that's not.
He's always going to get. He's always going to get flagged for that because he's lost all benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Like just from all the refs.
So it looks like he's pushing a guy over when he's actually just trying to,
But it's like bad awareness and like, it's a thing.
He's
like,
getting tunnel vision.
Yeah.
He's going like this.
And he needs to and it's like one of the things he needs to realize is that he's always going to lose the benefit of the doubt now. He's just one of those guys.
I did the same thing in football. And when you're the loudest guy in the room, you're going to get flags.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and when you're a star and like you've got eyes on you, like it's only gonna magnify it. It's not like you can hide.
Every week, it's gonna get worse if you don't do something different.
Right.
Yeah.
But what did Coach say? What did he say?
Pete Carroll basically said, like, he had like DK needs to like be aware of plays, which is why I use the language, or basically something like that. It was like he was playing through it, and like, I can't remember the exact quote. I'd have to go find it.
I mean, it just sounds like some usual Pete speak.
Here's what happened. Second quarter of the game, I see DK by himself in the end zone. Gino is scrambling around, closed his eyes, isn't looking, running around, and he throws it out of bounds. And DK, he looks at Gino, and he looks at the end zone, and then he looks back at Gino, and he just waves his arm and walks onto the sidelines.
Yeah.
Right in that moment, DK was out of the game.
Yep.
He was done.
He checked out.
That was it for DK. Literally didn't get a single point after that because he just could not give a fuck about playing for our team because of how bad our quarterback is, and he knows it.
The line has been really bad too. Like this week,
we have our starters. We have our starter.
They played awful. Like
it doesn't matter.
Gino was bad.
No excuse.
Gino was bad. Gino. That the line was also bad, and it just like
we're missing.
David Cross is back.
2 starters.
No, one.
Abraham Lucas is indefinitely out, which really sucks.
Anthony Bradford is
there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of injuries that people are still working through. Like our line,
Will Haynes will not be in the league next year.
We might see a 40-year-old dude start like that.
Yeah, Jason Peters might start. He's 41. Yeah. Like Jake Curhan is not a
I am not letting the line be an excuse for Geno Smith because
Geno was bad.
Guess who gets yards every single play he gets the ball? Ken Walker. And if we had a bad line, Ken Walker would be sitting at 0 points every week. So you know what? This is on Geno.
No, I agree with you.
Period.
I just think the line was bad. Too.
They're not. They're great.
I'm putting it on the entire offense because I cannot condone the use of 11 personnel the way we used it. Like that was absolutely
the line can be good at run blocking and bad.
Absolutely.
Geno has more time in the pocket than half the quarterbacks in this league, and he can't throw the ball to any of his open receivers ever.
You can't take a sack on 4th down.
All you have to do is step up into the pocket and throw the fucking ball, Geno.
That's been a consistent issue with him, though. Is like he doesn't step up. Like I don't.
He can't take one step forward and throw the ball.
It's weird. Like
he steps back and then he can't see because he's behind and further back behind these 6'5" guys. If he steps up, he can see over the line and see he has open receivers everywhere and throw one at him.
No. I'm putting it on the entire offense because it was all bad.
You're wrong. You're
no,
wrong.
Dude. Like no,
you're wrong, man. I'm telling you.
I think if the Seahawks offense,
the time to snap to first hit was less than 2.5 seconds.
It was really fast.
Like,
yeah, but
Anthony Bradford cannot pass block to save his life. Like Geno Smith holds onto the ball too long. Like we cannot run 11 personnel. Like right now, we just don't have the people for it. JSN is not the answer. Like it's still too fast for him. Like, it's everything.
Dude, Seahawks played against a team that is favored to go really far in the playoffs, probably win a title, maybe show up in the Super Bowl. This is discounting the
has
injury.
A good pass rush.
And like it's a good all around. The Bengals are simply better than the Seahawks, and if they continue to look this poor for multiple weeks, then I think we can have a bigger discussion about it. But I'm throwing this week out. They have a lot of tape to look at. Cool, move on.
Yeah.
Overall, though, this was a really ugly week of football. I mean, only 7 teams scored more than 20 points this week. And then going into Monday Night Football before that awful Cowboys game, they went under the they didn't cover. So that's the highest rate through 6 weeks in any season in the 20,000s. Like, we are having a historically bad season for offenses, and football has been pretty trash to start. So,
unless you like defense.
I mean, even then, we've had some bad games that it's just like defensively. It's like Trevor was saying earlier. It's like the 3 and out, like punt, games.
Like they're not.
And the officiating.
Even defense doing good. It's just they're
penalties.
The offense is defeating themselves, and then penalties are stacking.
Yeah,
up.
penalties.
A defensive game is not. The offense does two penalties, and then they're third and forever, and then they throw a screen pass to make up some yardage for the punt. That's not a good game. When that's happening all game long, and the refs are getting involved the way they are, and offense are playing as bad as they have been in 20 plus years, this year is so fucking crazy.
It's one thing if good defensive play is forcing a holding that backs them up, but it's another thing for like continuous false starts and shit like that, like just sloppy offensive play. You know.
While we're on me and Steve, though, I do want to give a shout out to Michael Myers.
He looks good
for finally playing,
finally showing up
the way that he. Well, they're finally utilizing him.
They finally got him
utilizing him in preseason.
Yeah. Yep.
They didn't give him any targets until this last game, and he proved why they need to send more his way.
Yeah.
He got 15 yards a carry. 15.
Yeah, he looked good, man.
Yeah, he looked good.
It was surprising he fell to the second round, honestly. Like, all throughout the process, like, up until, like, the last week of the draft, like, whatever bullshit, he was kind of considered to be the best guy.
Well, it was between him and Sam Laporta, right? So.
And Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid
for
was in
him,
there.
like, who hasn't done shit. Like,
yeah. I mean, Laporta is the Iowa guy, so he should have been a shoo-in.
Yeah.
And,
I still think a lot of that has to do with the scheme.
Notre Dame is a good tight end university, too, so. But yeah, I think
Sam Laporta is good. I'm not taking that away from the player.
I think you're right. The Lions needed a pass catching tight end.
They got rid of TJ Hawkinson. They needed TJ. They got Sam Laporta, and he's better.
He's better. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'm gonna say, I've been playing Chuba Hubbard when I need to play him during bye weeks. I sit him.
That's scary.
And he gets 17 points when I finally sit him.
Just let me know who you're sitting if I have a player in other leagues. So.
Yeah, please.
Just go look at my bench. If you have a player in another league,
which one
guy.
On which bench, and like which one's the key to the whole thing? Do I watch the Dynasty bench or the Renton Kluge bench? Which one?
My Dynasty bench, because like for some reason I'm
extra
going
cursed.
off in every other league.
The Dynasty league has definitely absorbed the worst of the curses.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look at the matchups for next week. Ones that we think are going to be good. I think we got Matt and Steve
me
here.
And Jordan.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the 2 powerhouse teams in the league are playing. That'll be a good one to watch.
Yeah, we're gonna rematch. We just played in Renton Crew.
Joe and John is an interesting matchup complexion because both of you guys are kind of the same fantasy player. Like you guys love sports and you know a lot of stuff. Like John's a really quiet dude. I don't think you've ever interacted with him, Joe, but like he knows ball. He also just absolutely gets shellacked in fantasy every single year, just like you do, and he's never made playoffs.
And you're both 3-3.
You're both 3. This is a huge week for you guys.
It's a huge week for you both, actually. Yeah, this
is true.
A nexus point.
Yeah, and then we got Ben and Kelsey, Danny and Casey, and then me and Josh.
Holy shit! our 1-5 teams are going against each other too. Steve and Matt.
Yo.
Yeah.
That's yep. And then Danny and Casey 5-1. They're both 5-1, and then I'm playing Josh. I literally don't even care.
I hope you lose. I hope Josh beats the fucking shit out of you.
All right, boys. I think that we covered a lot of ground here, and I think we've done a good job dissecting what the hell is going on too, because it's been a therapy session here a little bit, because like fantasy's been. I'm glad that we're doing defensive players too, because like otherwise I would be so frustrated with how terrible offense has been. Like I in the redraft leagues I'm in, it's just like fuck me.
It's like league averages are like 100 points, but in the past they've been like 150. So
yeah, it's like I said, 60% of the games have gone under the game total.
They finally figured out the McVay Shanahan offense and everybody else. Now we're all fucked for fantasy.
Yep. No, I think that's probably right. I mean, the only one that's of that tree that's really having tremendous success is Shanahan himself and McDaniel, who had the advantage of having McDaniel on his staff.
I think McVay is also like the Rams have like
they're doing okay.
They found Puka and like Cooper Kupp is still Cooper Kupp.
Have you guys seen much about the Miami coach and how fucking weird he is?
Yeah, dude, that dude's weird. Mike McDaniel, yeah.
That dude is hilarious.
He's great.
He walked up to Tua. He straight up walked up to Tua and he was like, "I fucked up. That's on me." Like you can see him mouthing it out to Tua when he called a bad play. Well, that's a good coach. That's a really good coach.
Did you see the pictures during that epic blowout against Denver? He was chilling in the stands with the fans with his play calling sheet and his like he was just like signing shit.
He was like letting
he's
the
chilling,
call
dude.
Plays. Yeah, like
and then there was one of those
sideline coach interviews and gave like the most like generic answer ever, and then went on to his post presser, whatever those are called. It was like, yeah, I was just trying to figure out like how many times I could say coach speak in this one interview. Like that was my whole thing.
And then they had him. They were asking about Devon Achane, and he was like, "You want me to say it, right? He's fast." It's like he knows. He knows. Like he's also was Denver's ball boy, which was extra hilarious in the context of that blowout.
Okay, that makes more sense why they blew him out. Because he really wanted to fucking lay it on.
Yeah.
Like your ball boy comes back and lays 70 on you.
And then he didn't go for the record either.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, nah, I've already beat the shit out of you too. Like,
dude's got balls of steel, man. Like
no, it's
because there is an unwritten rule about running the score up on people like that. So not only do you make Denver look bad, but if you score a record, you're gonna look like the biggest piece of shit in the NFL.
Yeah, you put a target on your back.
It was pretty classy, honestly. So then just be like, we're done. 70's enough. Like, let's get out of here.
Fine.
Let's go home now.
We're already in the record books. We don't need to take the record.
Right.
Yeah. Mike McDaniels is clearly like the best of that tree that's come out so far.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I think without a doubt at this point.
Definitively at this point.
Yeah.
There are a couple like fantasy football related things I wanted to bring up. I saw a situation. This isn't in any league that I'm in, but I saw this crazy situation this guy was talking about where he was a commissioner of a league, and there were two teams that realized the week before playoffs, if they both tied, they would both make it to playoffs. So they colluded to bench their entire team and score 0 points and both get into playoffs. I'm so glad I don't play with people like that. I hope that none of you would think about doing that and would just be like, whoever gets in, sort of that sort of matchup. But like benching your entire team to both, like that's collusion. Fuck that.
I would hope that somebody would just like play their quarterback and win.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do something funny like that, play like one guy, like play your kicker. Like
exactly.
I'm okay with that, but like
real roll of the dice.
At least like play the game,
Yeah.
I thought that was Bush.
Sure.
I thought that was Bush league shit.
That is super lame. I'm just gonna.
That's pretty whack.
Yeah. The other funny fantasy thing I saw happen is in our 32 team fucking bullshit league. This guy sent a trade offer for Drew Lock, and the guy didn't like it, so he rejected it. So he sent another offer for Drew Lock for every pick he has for 3 years, and the guy accepted it.
What?
That's gotta be.
You should go look at it. Go look at it, Joe. It has been a wild couple of days in the.
Well, that's the thing is like I that's not collusion. It's just the worst trade I've ever seen.
Is it not though? That's gotta be.
But we have rules. No. Like I have rules in my leagues that say like the commissioner can veto trades based on trades that unfairly shift the power dynamic in the league and everything. And this league didn't. They had something like that, but they put it to a vote and eventually they rejected it. But like, please, guys, don't do shit like that. Don't put me through things like I don't want to deal with situations like that. Don't send troll offers that get accepted because you want to make a point. Like I just please
take it
don't.
Fucking seriously.
Yeah, please.
Dude, I mean that league. I fucking hate that league.
I hate it too, but like I just want to point that out. League. That was like I was thinking about that from the commissioner's standpoint, and I was like, this is awful. I would hate if this happened in any of my leagues.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not inviting anyone to do that. Please don't fucking do that. But like, yeah, I just thought that was hilarious. Like as a player, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I had to vote to reject it because that's stupid. You're giving one team all the draft capital for 3 years and another team that's literally uncompetitive forever. Like
Drew Lock,
for Drew Lock.
I mean, I don't pay attention to that league, so
that's
I missed
trash.
That. I'm kind of sad. Just that's funny and stupid.
Yeah.
I saw it and I thought it was like a joke.
The guy was dead serious. It was like he did it because he's just like the guy. He's the player, the fantasy player that the commissioner hates because he just wants to see the world burn. He exists to like talk shit and make flamboyant trades like that on purpose. Like he was in the chat saying, "No, I'll let this through. I don't even care. I just want to see the world burn. Fuck you all." And it was like, nah, dude, you're getting your picks back.
In the league?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, how is that fun?
No,
like you're ruining your team on purpose. Like,
get him out of here.
Yeah.
Like
that in my opinion is grounds to kick a player from a league for play reasons. Like if you're consistently doing shit like that, it's like the Oso thing. It's like you're ruining the game for a bunch of other people that are invested monetarily. And like, I mean, that league's free, but like in our leagues, they're paid leagues. Like that's reason to kick someone out if they're doing shit like that. And I don't know. Yeah. I'm glad that I play with you guys. I think the squad that we have takes the game seriously. And we won't have to deal with situations like that. I'm sure some things will come up over the years, but like nothing like that. Like, I don't think anything like that will happen. At least I hope not. But that's my job is to like.
We'll see
be
how
a purveyor of the game.
2026 in the 5th round.
Oh, that will be a spicy draft. Which, yeah.
The 5th round will be pretty wild.
Of which game? Of what?
Josh has been slowly collecting as many 5th round 2026 picks as he can.
He wouldn't trade me unless I gave it up. He literally refused. He refused to trade me unless I gave up a 5th.
That's what that's all about, Joe. And he messaged me and Steve too. He's like, "So what will it take to get you out of your 2026 5th rounders?"
He and I have been in advanced negotiations for like many months about the 2026 5th rounder.
I traded JC Horn to Ben for his 2020 for the 2026 like 5th rounder because it's like this is the fee to not have him hit waivers essentially. Like why does he even want?
Oh, you know Josh is going to be messaging you within the week
because he's going to get a Puka Nakua, man. He's going to get one.
He's trying to Puka it up.
It's going to be a hit.
I guess. I mean, sure.
He gets the entire 5th round.
Like, all right, man. Know? Word. I mean, if you want to.
That's his.
I guess
handle,
I got 2,
right?
so he's got to get them from me somehow. I guess.
Yeah. No. He wants everything.
That's a wild thing to want. Like, all right.
All right, guys. We're going on about 2 hours here, and I'm sure Trevor's gonna want to get going to bed.
I'm getting sleepy.
Yeah. All right,
guys.
We
did a bad job on the 10-minute thing, guys. We got to do better.
It's okay. We'll get it next week.
Yeah. Well.
I wanted to have that conversation about the quarterbacks, and I think that was a good conversation.
We didn't do
too bad on the matchups. We took forever on the Marin.
Yeah. Well, we took forever on the beginning part because it frustrated the fuck out of me seeing like teams that don't belong.
It was a good comment. Dude, the dissenting opinion is important. Good. So yeah. Anyway,
I mean,
defense
makes this stuff
wins
so,
championships.
And Steve
still sucks.
Especially this week.
Yeah. Especially this week. The bye week.
The Packers bye week.
Later, guys.
Later.